To the prettiest setting in all of racing, Phoenix International Raceway. The beautiful Estrella Mountains framing this scenic speedway. Those hills will be alive with the sound of horsepower shortly as 43 of NASCAR's best go racing for 200 miles in Race 8 of the NASCAR Nationwide Series season. Driver introductions have just been finished. Clint Boyer will be one of the favorites tonight. He's the defending winner of this race, leads the series standings coming in and starts 10th. Let's go right to the grid. He is with our Vince Welch now.
No question about it, Mike. Anytime you talk about favorites here at Phoenix, the name Clint Boyer is going to be at the forefront of the conversation. What is it about the characteristics of this track and your driving style that seem to match up?
Yeah, I just like this size of racetrack. I think it's a get up on the wheel and make it happen type of racetrack, and that's kind of the way I like to drive. But Dan and all the guys in the Campbell World Chevrolet have been giving me the equipment to go out there and win races. We won here last year, but that doesn't mean anything. We got a lot of tough cookies ahead of us. We were way too tight in practice there, but we were able to free the car up a bunch. That's why we're starting so far back, but hopefully it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah, we'll see here soon. Mike?
And Vince, one guy who certainly knows something about winning here in Phoenix is Kyle Busch. After all, he's won here in trucks, in Cup, and of course in the Nationwide Series. So you're the guy to ask, what's it take to get around this place?
I can't tell you my secrets. I'm not going to tell you that. Just having a fast race car and being able to keep it stuck to the bottom of the racetrack and keep the rest of the competitors behind you. That's the way you got to do it around here. So Phoenix is a fun place, though. It's a lot of fun here to race here. 1 and 2 being different than 3 and 4, and we've got a great interstate batteries Toyota Camry here with us tonight. So hopefully we can keep it up front and try to win this thing.
Now, and he's already used some of those secrets. He's on the pole tonight.
Kyle Busch, winner of the most recent race here. That was back last November. The race is a quick sprint tonight, and our countdown is 2, with the basketball running a little bit long. Just 18 minutes and change to the green flag. Coming up, Brad Keselowski. He starts on the front row for tonight, driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr. His best career start. Carl Edwards, the defending series champion, starts 3rd. Both of those drivers hoping not to be snake bit in the desert here in Phoenix tonight. Beautiful pictures of Phoenix International Raceway. Our aerial coverage this evening brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Just about a half minute away from going trackside, there is Kevin Harvick. One of the threats to win tonight, starts 5th, the former winner in all 3 of NASCAR's top series here at Phoenix, talking with Jeff Burton, another former Phoenix winner. Burton as well, starting near the front of the field. He's on the outside of row 2 in 4th position. The 2 drivers, teammates for Richard Childress Racing on the Cup side, tonight competing against one another for the win. And Kyle Busch won last week's race. The most recent Nationwide Series winner here. He's on the pole for tonight's race. It is already time for us to go trackside for the opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as Trevor Brown Jr. ROTC presents our nation's colors. And now, would you please pause for a moment of silence as we remember NASCAR official Brienne Davis, who we tragically lost this week. Now would you please welcome Phoenix International Raceway Chaplain Ken Bowers as he delivers tonight's invocation.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for once again allowing us to join you here at our beloved Phoenix International Raceway for a wonderful night of racing. We thank you with great joy in our hearts for the anticipation of safe racing and competitive times here tonight. We don't take anything for granted and know that life is precious, but the challenge of achievement is so great. And finally, we thank you for the wonderful fans who join us here, and it is in your name we pray that everyone says, Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to perform our national anthem, Big Machine Records Valerie music recording artist, Jimmy Wayne.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You heard the moment of silence dedication, and we take a moment to offer our condolences to the family of Brienne Davis. Brienne's story, a remarkable one. She came to big league NASCAR racing at age 22 as an engine builder for Dale Earnhardt Incorporated. Groundbreaking for a female. She joined NASCAR in 2004 as an official in technical inspections. Again, groundbreaking. Sadly, Brienne lost her life in a traffic accident Tuesday evening in the Charlotte area. She was just 28 years old. ESPN's coverage of the NASCAR Nationwide Series comes your way tonight from Phoenix International Raceway, the 8th race of the 2008 season, 200 miles on this 1-mile track. Our coverage presented by Cece's Pizza. A beautiful day in the Valley of the Sun, about to come to a close. 81 degrees right now. Temperature up in the mid-80s this afternoon. The key is, how cool will it be about an hour and a half from now when we get close to the checkered flag, and what will those track conditions be like? Before they fire them up, let's go upstairs to the three-men who'll call tonight's race. In for Dr. Jerry Punch, we say hello to Marty Reed, who's standing by with Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie.
Thank you, Alan. Hello again, everybody. And because of the length of basketball, we're going to get right to the meat of the issue. Let's talk about this track and what we can expect tonight. Unique facility here at Phoenix, DJ.
Yeah, very unique, a very flat racetrack. And with the temperatures today, even though we're going to be racing at night, still going to be a very slick racetrack. We're going to see these drivers using the apron, at least with their left side tires, trying to find some grip somewhere.
And it's a challenging racetrack to set up for because the turns are so much different. 1 and 2's got a little banking, and it's a little bit tighter. 3 and 4 is a little more broad corner, and it's flat. So the track takes a lot different setup for each end. So it's a very big challenge for these crews.
DJ, when you were driving in these races where you started, where temperature's 81, you know it's going to drop, the track's going to tighten up. How scary was it from the driver's standpoint? Did you like those moments, or were you a little more leery about them?
No, I think that was the fun part of it, because you had to kind of guess at the setup a little bit. So you were actually saying, okay, we think this is what the racetrack's going to do, and you've got to start your car out loose, because you're pretty sure that at some point in time, as this racetrack cools down a little bit, that the car is going to get tighter.
We've got about 25 seconds. What about pit strategy tonight? I mean, because we had 11 cautions here last year in each of the 2 races.
We might see just a little bit different pit strategy here tonight, because it has been a 2-stop race, but we might see a little different strategy tonight.
So that basically sets the stage for us. You see the crews are ready to go. In fact, we're getting ready to go. Let's send it down trackside to get the show on the road.
And now, race fans, please welcome back your Grand Marshal, Rob Johnson, as he delivers the most famous words in motorsports.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Bring him up. Crank it up. Let me know when it's running, please. We're fired up. 10-4, we're fired up. Everything looks good.
Smooth pit stops all day. No mistakes. No mistakes on pit road. David, no mistakes getting off pit road. Tony doing a good job up there. Let me know what we can do to help you out all day, David. We're here for you. We have a good, strong race today.
Some great advice, and our in-race reporter for tonight's event here at Phoenix International Raceway will be the driver of the number 20 car right there, Denny Hamlin. And when we come back, we'll talk to him. In fact, we'll dip into the ESPN.com mailbag and answer one of your questions here, as Denny will be our in-race reporter in the Valley of the Sun, which is soon to see the sun set. NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix is presented by CiCi's Pizza, where you can enjoy our endless buffet of pizza, pasta, salad, and desserts. And as we get ready to go racing here at Phoenix International Raceway, we'll show you our starting lineup across the top of your screen, and you'll be able to pick out your favorite driver in the 43-car field. No surprise, Kyle Busch on pole, Brad Keselowski right on the outside of row number 1. Now, as you always know, we have an in-race reporter at every race, and we've started asking you for some Ask the Driver questions. You go to espn.com, keyword Ask the Driver, to have your question answered. In next week's race, our reporter will be Adrian Fernandez from Mexico City. All right, here's the question for this week. It comes from Emily in Leicester, Massachusetts. And Emily has this question for Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
10-4.
Hey, Denny, our first question tonight comes from one of your fans in Pennsylvania, and Emily wants to know, how hard is it to properly set up your car, and how quickly do you know if you didn't get it right?
You're breaking up quite a bit right there. I couldn't hear much.
Okay, her question is, how hard is it to properly set up your car, and how quickly do you know if you didn't get it right?
Yes, how hard is it to get your car set up, and how quickly do you realize when it's not right? Well, I mean, it's, we spent most yesterday trying to find a balance of what's going to be good during the first practice versus what we had in the second practice. And, that's the thing. This racetrack, it's tough to say which direction it really goes in, whether it's to the tighter side or the looser side. Every time we've been here, it just kind of gains grip at nighttime. So, we should know probably within 10 laps or so of what we got. It doesn't take that many laps to build air pressure versus somewhere like laps where it takes about 20 laps.
Thanks, Danny. We'll talk to you later. Good luck.
Thank you. All right. For more, let's check in our Chevy Cutaway car with Tim Brewer. Let's talk a little bit about the setups tonight, Tim.
Tell you what we got, Marty. We've got a wedge wrench. Marty, we've got the wedge wrench right here. What we're going to try to do is adjust the weight in the car. That's wedge, right front, left rear. What we're going to do there is try to adjust the balance. But for me, I'd like to do it with air pressure, because if we can do the air pressure change, it's already implemented before the pit stop. Therefore, I don't have to put a burden on my crew to make other changes, because track position is very important here. And if I don't have to burden my crew with that, we're going to be better off making it with air pressure. Marty?
All right, thanks, Tim. We'll be checking in with you as the race progresses. You can see that everybody has fired and has pulled out from pit lane. As we get on the pace laps, let's show you our 8 onboard cameras with Mike Bliss in the new number 1 car, Clint Boyer, Mike Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Robbie Gordon in the 22, Mike Bliss's old ride, Kevin Harvick, Jason Leffler, and David Rudiman. Time enough for us to get one more set of reports from pit lane. We've talked about it being the Valley of the Sun. Let's go to Vince Welch first.
Well, with the rain hampering practice and or qualifying in 4 of the first 7 events this year, these race teams are just happy to see the sunshine over the past couple of days. The good weather here in Phoenix has afforded the teams all their allotted practice time, and that has been key, especially for the less experienced drivers. 18-year-old Landon Castle told me any seat time is important for him, especially on a track as tricky as this one. Mike Massaro?
And Vince, this track gets even trickier when the sun goes down. So much, in fact, that on Thursday during practice, crew chief Brad Parrott told his driver, Dario Franchitti, don't tell me anything about turns 3 and 4, because it just doesn't matter. That's because at that particular time, that corner of the racetrack was in sunshine. Tonight, though, the racetrack completely shaded. Typically what happens here, as it gets cooler, the track gains grip and gets tighter. The crew chief and driver who adapt the quickest to these changes will most likely be the ones in victory lane. Jamie?
Well, Mike, since this is the first race of the year that we start with somewhat daylight and then it ends under the lights, the drivers have options for their visors. Some of the onboard cameras, you'll notice the drivers are running an amber color like this. That's one option. Another, to have a clear visor with a tear off. All they have to do when it gets dark out, they just pull that tear off as easy as can be. And a third option is just to start out with a clear visor like this. And Kyle Busch starting on the pole and Brad Keselowski in front, they're both starting off with this clear visor. Hey, Marty, it's all about clear vision. vision if you want to get to victory lane, right?
Absolutely, and that big grandstand with all those new suites up there actually blocks what remaining sunlight we have, so you don't get blinded nearly as badly anymore as you head into turn number 1. And as we see from our onboard cameras, everybody's scuffing tires. Let's talk a little bit about what the race will end up shaping like. We have 200 laps on this 1-mile circuit. And don't go over 45 miles an hour in pit lane or it'll cost you dearly. The pit window, 85 laps, but we'll talk more of that as the evening goes on. And you can see the banking in turns 1 and 2, 11 degrees, 9 degrees in turns 3 and 4. So as they come through turns 3 and 4, the pace car with the lights out will be pulling down, this time by in tow. Pole sitter Kyle Busch. He told Andy and I just before qualifying, he says, I don't know if I have enough to get the pole away from Brad Keselowski. He did by about 2/10. We're green here at Phoenix. Everybody makes it clean through turns 1 and 2, through the dogleg, now into turn 3. And boy, look at the high side. Brad Keselowski wants the lead after lap number 1. And remember, Kyle Busch said at the beginning of the race, if he can run it low and keep it down there, it'd be the preferred line. But he gives up the lead in lap 1.
Brad Keselowski must have had his tires pumped up a little bit to try to get that lead early and get those 5 points. And here comes Kyle Busch.
Yeah, we saw Brad get a little bit loose, get down in the corner. Probably drove it off in there, leading that first lap, a little bit pumped up. Got in there a little hard, and Kyle's back on the inside now.
Down to 3 and 4 again. Kyle on the low side in the 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota. But boy, Brad's not giving up.
He likes running up front. Now, it's something he's run up in the lead group, but he hasn't led a lot of races. He's liking this.
Yeah, we've talked about him a lot this year. A young man that has just a tremendous amount of talent. Likes this racetrack, and I think that means a lot to him. And this is the type of racing that we expect to see here. Good side-by-side racing. And probably right now, Kyle's car is a little bit on the loose side, and he's not able to complete that pass down to the bottom as we see him already down the apron.
Well, let's talk about the changes that the crew chiefs could have made after qualifying to get these cars adapted for the night race.
Well, Marty, they can change air pressures. They can change the track bar height by any amount they want. Whoa, we see Kyle Busch is really loose on the bottom, but they can also change the wedge in the car by a limited amount. NASCAR lets them change it a little bit, so there's some things they can do to set up for this, for the impound type qualifying and racing.
That's Jeff Burton on the high side. There's Denny Hamlin trying to make it 3 abreast for a while. And boy, you're right. Kyle is extremely loose, and he's going to lose another position, maybe more.
I'll tell you what, though, that's probably going to come back and pay dividends for Kyle Busch. As this race tightens up, his car will probably come in pretty good. And if these guys are really balanced, like Brad Keselowski leading the race, he might be too tight when this sun gets off this track and the track goes down.
Yeah, that's a good point, Andy. Exactly. We saw Kyle Busch there, but was finally able to get to the high side, and he made a good run through 1 and 2. So I think he might try to work that a little bit as he goes right back to the bottom in 3. But he didn't have his car pinched down trying to stay off of someone, and that makes a real difference in how much you have to turn the wheel and what you can actually do.
A little bit of damage on the 9 car, Chase Miller, and let's go back and see if we can find out what happened to him.
See how this track really narrows up getting in the corner. Kyle Krisiloff just basically body slams Chase Miller getting in there.
Well, that's one. That's a 66 car, Stephen Wallace, one of the cars on the move right behind him as you see what happened as the end result. We can tell you Wallace is now up 4 positions. There he goes around Chase Miller. So Stephen Wallace moving up rapidly. Move up back to the front of the line and take a look at the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Kyle Busch in the 18, Jeff Burton in the 29, Denny Hamlin running in 4th.
You can see the air pressure's back up, coming back now, Andy. Kyle Busch is able to make that car stick on the bottom of the racetrack, and as you said, this is going to pay dividends that he started out that free.
I thought it might take a few laps for it to pay off, but he got that thing dialed in. I think he may have just changed his line a little bit and found something that really worked for him.
Well, Kyle Busch, how many times have we said that this year, is back in front as he leads now over Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and Jeff Burton has slipped back to 5th.
coming off a win last week, Dale, does the driver just get so much confidence going into the next race that it's actually worth a 10th or 2? That's what I've seen before.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. I mean, it's everything in the world. I mean, you stay on that high for the whole week. He had a good run in the Cup race on Sunday, so he had a great weekend last week. And you can see him just driving the wheels off of this thing, and he feels like that he can't do anything wrong. He's not going to let that car get away from him, and that's just his style, and he does a great job of it. We see him put his left side tires right on that yellow line in the corners, and that's where he expects to make his car work all night.
190 laps to go, and Kyle's already sliding. Remember, he started 31st last week, came back to finish first. That's the furthest back a winner has started since Casey Kane won at Lowe's last May. He started 32nd in that one. Back here at Phoenix International Raceway, the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix, presented by CC's Pizza, and we're working lap 16 of 200, and there you see the 66 of Stephen Wallace going around. You saw the top 5 going across the top of your screen, the running order as well. One guy that's on the move, Denny Hamlin, he's picked up a total of 4 spots. Another guy, Clint Boyer, in that 5th spot, has picked up 5 spots from his 10th starting position, but nobody has anything right now for Kyle Busch. While we've got a moment, let's go up to speed, bring in Vince Welch with a slip-sliding race leader.
Well, and Kyle Busch is complaining that he's feeling a vibration in his brakes. He's already talking with his crew chief, Jason Ratcliffe, about how they might address that during their first pit stop. Also leaned heavily on his spotter there in the early going when he was battling with Brad Keselowski. Running behind Kyle Busch is Denny Hamlin in the Z-Line Designs Toyota. His crew chief is Dave Rogers, and Rogers says this team is disappointed. Even though they have 3 wins in the Nationwide Series this far, they feel like they've really missed out on a couple of other victories. Jamie?
Well, Kevin Harvick behind him in the 33. You know, I heard some whispers today saying Kevin Harvick could be the man to beat tonight. He's making his way to the front in that 33. He's still trying to get his first win, driving for his own team. And if you remember back to 2002, he was driving a truck and he got his first win as an owner here in Phoenix. Right behind him is Richard Childress racing teammate Jeff Burton. Radioed in, it's just not turning well, and we're hearing a lot of that tonight so far in these early stages, but he's been battling quite a bit with that 20 car at Denny Hamlin. Jeff Burton, though, running forward. Vince?
Clint Boyer in the 2 car won this race a year ago. He's the current points leader, and right now very happy with this race car. Says it's rolling the center of 3 and 4 real good. So far, nothing negative to say from the radio of the 2 car and Clint Boyer. Now behind him is Carl Edwards. Now Edwards had 3 top 5s so far this season, but 0 wins, and he's only led 2 laps in the first 7 races. Last year by this time he'd led 237 laps and had won 2 races. They haven't gotten off to the start they want, but they believe they could win here today. Jamie Little?
And Brad Keselowski in the 88. We've talked a lot about him. His best start of his career, 2nd here tonight, but he's saying his car is loose everywhere. He said he wants a little bit of track bar adjustment on the right side when he comes down pit road. And what's ironic is this car he's running was the car that Kyle Busch won with Hendrick Motorsports last November. So you know he has a good car under him. He just needs it to tighten up, and of course, as it cools down, that will be the case. Behind him, Jamie McMurray making his 3rd and final start in the 16 this year. The team told me they're really on a momentum right after finishing 5th last weekend. They're really sorry to see that Jamie's not going to be in the 16 anymore, but he's looking to get another top 5, perhaps a win. He won here just a few years ago. Right behind him, Jason Keller in the 11. The team expected to be fast off the truck, and they were disappointed. So practice, they made a lot of changes, came out and actually qualified, surprised themselves. They were happy with their efforts. Jason Keller right now running 9th. Vince?
Well, in the 10th spot is the 99 of David Rudiman in the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota. His crew chief, Jerry Baxter, says this team has had the bar raised after the Joe Gibbs Racing team switched over to Toyota. Baxter says it's been a reality check, and it's caused this team to work even harder. He's got one of the best in the series in his seat in David Rudiman. The 64 car is David Strimming. His sponsor, Atreus Homes, has a huge market here in the Phoenix area, so this is an especially big race for Strimming. 3 top 10s so far this season. His best finish, 5th at Las Vegas. Mike?
And Dario Franchitti now was a late entry into this race. Originally it was Reed Sorensen, but they made a change as a result of what happened last week in Texas with him not qualifying for the Cup race. A ripple effect was sent throughout the Ganassi organization. A meeting was held on Monday where where Chip Ganassi told all the crew chiefs they need to do whatever it takes to ensure that Dario qualifies for the Cup races. One of those things is to make sure he is entered in all of these nationwide companion events. That is the key. Right now he's running pretty solid, close to the top 10. Meanwhile, Brad Coleman out there running in the 13th position. Coleman said right after he got out of his car after practice, this is the best car he's had all year long. Still looking for his first top 10 of the season. Guys?
All right, great job, guys, as they're caught up to speed with those cars that are running up front. There's the man that everybody is chasing right now. His lead is 1.3 seconds over Denny Hamlin. Another second and a half back to Kevin Harvick. And Kyle Busch, that's what he did last week at Texas. He led 126 laps. Last year, he led 132 laps in the November win here at Phoenix. What a beautiful view here at Phoenix International Raceway. Don't miss the inaugural Navy Moto X World Championships. Tomorrow it begins, ESPN and ESPN2. First at 3 Eastern, it's the Supermoto Final, Best Trick Final. 5 Eastern on ESPN2. Ricky Carmichael in the Step-Up Final. Travis Pastrana in the Speed and Style Final. Oh, baby, it's going to be good on ESPN and ESPN2. And speaking of the Navy, let's check in on Brad Keselowski. He started on the outside of row number 1. Right now he's running in the 7th position. He's about 7.7 seconds behind our race leader, and we eavesdropped on his conversation with the crew, find out why he's been falling back.
Mostly loose on exit. All right, Pipple. Turn that right front feed blower off. You got it on. 10-4.
What they're basically talking about there, folks, anytime you got this airflow, you got a fan blowing air, cooling off the air pressure in the right front tire. Now, when they tell you to reach over and cut that switch off on the dash, what the crew chief's anticipating, he wants that air pressure to build up to tighten that car up. But Kyle Busch, he's in a situation where he probably jumped on the brakes a little bit hard. He either glazed up the brake pad or he's warped the rotor on the thing, and that's what's causing it to vibrate. Marty?
Tim Brewer with the Chevy Cutaway car. Great stuff. And we've got contact into the wall down in turn number 1. The 37 car, John Young. We saw him spin in practice. He didn't make any contact then. But
on the right side, both cars are down on my side.
I don't have to tell you anymore. You just heard it.
They hit the wall pretty good.
All right, so here we are on lap 34 of 200 with our first caution. We had 11 last time. Crew chief, what are you thinking?
Well, we're going to just try to figure out what the car is doing and make an adjustment and try to plan for the end of the race. Make some adjustments on the car because we're going to have a cooler track later. This would be a good time to get the car adjusted.
If you're out in front like Kyle Busch, driver, do you want to pit or do you want to stay out?
I would have to say that right now is a good time to get on pit road. Let's get some adjustments made if there's anything there and make sure that we're going to keep up with this racetrack as it changes.
Well, we're going to get our answer here pretty soon because Kyle Busch is a taker and several others are coming in as well. Denny Hamlin, also Kevin Harvick, and let's send it down to Mike Massaro.
And Dario Franchitti heading down towards his pit stall right now, complaining the car's getting just a little bit tight. They're going to make a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment on the 40 car when he finally hits his pit stall.
There you see Kyle Busch, and this is a very difficult pit lane as we look to check in on the 33, Kevin Harvick.
He's getting left side tires here and getting out of the pits pretty quick.
So a 2-tire change.
Yeah, and that's a strange 2-tire change when you just change left sides.
Yeah, but you know, Andy, we were talking the other day and you mentioned something about they were seeing a little bit of graining with the left side, so that might be more important. And those cars got behind the John Young that created the accident, and that really had these guys stacked up, so I think that may have changed their strategy.
So as they come back out under our first caution, we'll take a break, take a look along with Jason Roth, or Jeff Roth, I should say, as he is the front tire carrier. Welcome back to the Bashas Supermarket 200, all part of the NASCAR Nationwide Series here at Phoenix, presented by CC's Pizza here at Phoenix International Raceway. What a beautiful sight from the Goodyear blimp as we look down. Let's correct one thing as you get ready to look at the reason we're under caution going back to 3 and 1 lap. We thought we came in and saw just a 2-tire change on Harvick. They actually did do 4, and there is what happened on the contact with John Young. And then it cost Kyle Busch dearly.
Yeah, because John Young's coming down pit road, and Kyle Busch is having to follow him. He's in the very first pit box over in turn 2. He had to follow him the longest. Jeff Burton and Kevin Harvick were able to get to their pit stalls quicker, so they weren't losing that much time. So unfortunate break, but it only dropped Kyle out and back to third here.
It is Jeff Burton first, Kevin Harvick second, Kyle Busch third, Carl Edwards fourth, Jamie McMurray in fifth. Then Clint Boyer, Brad Keselowski, David Rudiman, David Stremme, and Denny Hamlin. That rounds out your top 10. There is Curtis Davis, as he is the Aaron's lucky dog. He gets to get back on the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin actually came out the worst as we saw him following the wrecked automobile there coming in. He dropped all the way back to 10th, so he's got some work to do as we get ready to go back to green.
Coming down for the green flag, and we're back racing again here at Phoenix. Good start for Burton. And here comes Kyle.
Looks like Kevin Harvick had a little problem through the middle of the corner, and Kyle Busch just jumps right on him.
Yeah, and I think the start of the race may have helped Kyle right here on this restart to know that the outside is where his car is going to work the best. He doesn't have to turn the wheel as much. And we see him trying to take the lead from Burton, and is taking the lead before they get off of turn 4.
Boy, I'll tell you what, easy. Man, he did. Oh, and we've got contact. The 16 of Jamie McMurray. His last ride in this car is not going to be a memorable one for this season. City Financial Ford is hard into the wall.
What's he got when you get caught up?
He's got a lot of damage.
He was
Went
running
hard
in
with the
fifth.
left rear, Eddie. Still, and then it flipped around. He's sitting there head on towards the fence off 4. You got me, Jamie?
Let's go back and see if we can see what happened to Jamie.
These cautions get everybody jammed up. You see, it looks like Clint Boyer just gets right into the back of Jamie McMurray and spins him around. No way he could save it.
Let's go on board with Clint Boyer.
Clint just gets into the gas a lot quicker than Jamie did, and he didn't adjust for that. It's unfortunate for Jamie.
All right, so that brings out our second caution, and a tough break for Jamie McMurray as he's trying to make it back into pit lane and see if they can fix any of that damage. There's a lot there. Kyle Busch is still our race leader. Stay with us.
Getting ready for the restart here at Phoenix, hoping these 2 quick cautions are not the beginning of a trend, though last year this racetrack had a lot more cautions than it should have, and caution laps, in fact, better than the average cautions and caution laps of the other tracks combined. Hey, Kyle Busch, upon further review, how did he lose the lead on that last pit stop?
Yeah, these guys were just trying to get some tape on that brake duct for you there. That's why he was holding the jack, but we'll be okay. I'll get you back out front on the next one. Yeah, if we're waiting on tape, I'm not waiting on tape. You drop that jack, if I run you over, get out of the way. We don't wait on tape. You can't get it, you can't get it.
Driver expressing his views rather clearly after that last set of pit stops, and it is time for us to go back racing. Let's go full throttle here at Phoenix. Kyle Busch, the leader.
Looking to come inside right at the corner battle. Clear. All around. 2 back 5. Still there. Clear left. Taking a look outside. Door, corner, clear high. Clear. Later, strike now. Keep digging, brother. Door, corner.
Oh, and you can see the sparks flying back in the pack there. As you heard everybody going full throttle, Kyle Busch still the race leader, but they're 4 wide down the front stretch and a lot of contact.
A lot of contact with the 11 car, Jason Keller. His whole right front fender looks like it's gone on the front, or the front half of it.
Kyle Busch has just gone over 500 laps led already this season in the Nationwide Series. There's a lot of slow traffic back there, and again, more contact. We should point out the Aaron's Lucky Dog went to DJ Kennington after the second caution of the race, so he's back on the lead lap. And you can see that right behind Busch, it's Jeff Burton, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, and Clint Boyer, and that's not aerodynamically sound.
No, and I'm worried about that tire rubbing that fender because he can cut that thing down pretty easy.
Let's go back and see how it happened to Jason Keller in the incredible pizza car.
See how the track really narrows up getting into the corner.
Contact with Stremme in the 64. They both have damage.
Looked like Stremme probably didn't know that he wasn't clear right there.
Yeah, and they were coming up on the lap car, so it didn't give Jason much of an opportunity to be able to move up or go to the bottom and not create that contact.
And there you see they are still together. Stremmy's still out there, and there is Stephen Light. Give Stephen a tip of the hat because he is now up to 12th, and Light started back in the 22nd position, so he has picked up 11 spots. Jason Leffler has picked up 12, and this damage on the 11 car is getting worse, I think.
They're going to have to get in there and get that car worked on. You can see the sparks flying. I'm really worried about that thing cutting that right front tire. That's probably the biggest concern they have right now.
David Reagan is he's throwing a few sparks as well. Let's get more on the 11 car from Jamie Little.
Yeah, guys, Jason Keller just radioed in. He said, I think we've got a right flat front, so watch for the 11 car to safely get off pit road or get off the racetrack and get on to pit road. He's got damage. Marty?
All right, we'll keep tabs on that. Meanwhile, nothing has changed up front. Kyle Busch continues to lead. There's David Reagan. He has safely gotten around the 11 car. So move Reagan into the 12th position, bump Keller back to 13th. Meanwhile, Kyle is slip-sliding away.
He made that pass easy for the lead, passing 2 cars in 1 lap, and gets out in front. But you see Jeff Burton looks like he's able to keep pace right now. He may have adjusted on his car a little bit.
Let's go back to that conversation, DJ. Were you ever that forceful with the crew saying, hey, don't give me tape, get the check down and get out of the way?
I think sometimes you just want to get your point across, and yeah, you have to say that, and they know that. They just didn't think that it was going to take them quite that long. It looked like the guy struggled a little bit to get the piece of tape, but you know, sometimes you have to do that, but they have to know too that you appreciate what they're doing.
Now, they talked about covering up the brake duct. Most people would think you'd want to get air in to cool the brakes.
Well, I think that they were talking about a vibration in the rotors, and they don't know whether maybe the rotor's too cool, so they'll maybe put a little bit of tape on there to get some more heat in it. But we're watching some of the camera angles we've seen, and it didn't look to me like they were having any trouble getting heat in the rotor. We could see some color in there. I think maybe he was just got them too hot too quickly on the start of the race is why that vibration came in there.
There you see his numbers tonight, 40 laps led and counting, and over 500 now as we're working lap 52 of 200. And as we move a little bit further back, we mentioned that Jason Leffler has been on the march as Leffler started the race in 21st position, and he has now moved up to the 9th position. Let's get more from Mike Massaro.
And Marty, you walk up to Jason Leffler this weekend, and he's all smiles. He loves this racetrack. As a child, he came here with his dad to see the Copper Classic, a major midget race, and it really left an impression on him. So much, in fact, that over the years, he's raced just about everything here and won in just about everything. He's won in a midget car, he's won in a Silver Crown car, and he expected to do the same thing tonight. No lack of confidence for Jason Leffler. He told me simply the goal tonight is go straight to the front, and so far, that's all he's done. And that really falls right in line with his season's goals.
To win multiple races and then contend for the nationwide championship. I mean, obviously our goal is to win the nationwide championship, but if we have a shot, you know, the last 5 or 6 races, or we're in a position in the top 3, and we have multiple wins under our belt, it's going to be, we're going to consider that, you know, a successful season, and we'll meet our goals that way.
And he is currently 8th in the nationwide series point standings, and you can see he's got the Dale Jarrett style. He's got that old elbow rubbing right on that steering wheel. We'll talk more about that a little bit more. There you see his numbers here at Phoenix. 2 poles and 1 top 5.
Tonight brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Only one set of Goodyears changed in this race so far tonight for each of the teams, as we've been fairly caution-free so far. And this is just the beginning of a busy weekend of motorsports here on ESPN2. NASCAR Now tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Set the stage for tomorrow night's Sprint Cup race here in Phoenix. Tomorrow, 8 Eastern Time, NHRA Nationals qualifying, SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals. Then the final Sunday at 8 Eastern Time. And on Monday's NASCAR Now Roundtable, not only a wrap-up of the Phoenix racing weekend, but a lengthy discussion of this whole drug testing issue that's been much discussed here at Phoenix the last couple of days. Terry Labonte, Brad Doherty, Mike Massaro, and I on the Monday Roundtable edition of NASCAR Now, 5:30 Eastern, ESPN2. Kyle Busch, the race leader, he has dominated this thing from the pole. After Brad Keselowski led the first 6 laps, Kyle went out in front, and except for an exchange of pit stops, he's been the man out in front the whole way. Vince, what are they saying about this 18 car?
Well, they're very happy for the most part with the way it's running. As you take a look at Jason Ratcliffe, they have been dealing with a bit of a brake issue, and that was documented in the sound between Kyle Busch and Jason Ratcliffe that we heard just a moment ago. You know, there's a lot of talk about Kyle Busch and his fiery attitude off the track, sometimes dealing with us here in the media, but what is often not reported is some of the things he does off the track. Like this Wednesday, he came into town and visited the Sunshine Acres Children's Home in Mesa, part of an initiative with the Kyle Busch Foundation, which provides for less fortunate children. And many of those kids are here in the Foyt Grandstand tonight, no doubt, cheering on the Green 18 Interstate Batteries car. Marty?
All right, thanks, Vince. And you see Jason Ratcliffe there, the crew chief for Kyle, as his lead is now 2.5 seconds over Jeff Burton. And we have our third caution flag coming out, the report of debris on the racetrack. So that is going to wipe out that lead, and there it is. Looks like another water bottle.
Yeah, it looks like that's off of Jason Keller's car, that right front fender.
Oh, yeah, that's a piece of fender. We also saw a water bottle out there a little bit earlier. And so obviously we're going to slow things down to clean things up. Gives us a chance to put a period on a bad night for Jamie McMurray. Mike Massaro's caught up with him.
And Marty, believe it or not, he still finds a way to smile, but this is certainly not the way you wanted to end your season with the 16 car. I mean, this was your last ride. What happened?
I mean, it just got wrecked. You know, it's frustrating because it's, you know, right after a restart and only 40 laps in, and I'm not real sure. I mean, I've never really had a problem with Clint, but I just, you know, I got dumped. And when you get spun around at a flat track like this, you can't stay in the gas and drive away from the wall. You just don't have the banking to push it down the track. So tough day for the City Financial Fusion. We had a pretty good car. I thought we had one of the better cars in practice, and then when it came time to qualify, the car was just really loose. But it's pretty hard to pass out there. I saw the 18 was able to pass some guys, but you know, it seems like track position is more important than ever with the motor restrictions that we have now. You can only gain a little ground on the guy right in the middle of the corner, and then once he gets to the gas, the momentum's the same off the corner. So it's tough to pass in the nationwide cars now.
Well, Marty, you got to give this guy a lot of credit. I mean, this is certainly not the way he expected this night to end, and obviously has reason to be disgruntled, but still smiling.
Absolutely, as we now see who's coming in for pit stops, and it looks like Jeff Burton was a taker as well. Let's check in with Jamie.
And you're looking at the 33, Kevin Harvick. It was a last-minute decision to come back down, but he was ready. He said once he gets going, he is good. The 33 been solid in the top 3, top 4 all night. And Jeff Burton as well, he said he's just losing grip. He needs more rear grip. They're going to make a couple adjustments. 4 tires, fuel. They're checking out the right side rear. There's a problem with the 29. We'll get more on that, get back to you guys. 25-second pit stop, Marty. Not good.
Not good at all, and it's going to cost him a lot of positions as they come off pit road. We'll sort it all out for you. We can tell you Kyle Busch stayed out, and as did Jason Leffler. There you see the race off pit road. The big winner, Brad Keselowski with 4. Stay with us.
Back at Phoenix, still under the third caution in tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Our coverage presented by CC's Pizza. Not to be Shakespearean or anything, but to pit or not to pit? That is the question discussed by Kyle Busch and his crew chief a second ago.
I mean, that's only 20 laps there. Yeah, I didn't think it was long enough to come in again. Nah, track decision's too important. Let's ride it out. If you're happy, I'm happy. Simple.
One of our champion crew chiefs, Andy Petrie, upstairs, and I and Dale Jarrett and everybody else, we were all talking about what goes into that decision. Andy, what are some of the factors you use as a crew chief in weighing whether or not to bring your car in?
Well, and you're thinking of a lot of things all at once. You're thinking about how are we in a fuel window or not? And if we are, then we need to probably get in here. But we're not in one now, and that's probably what they were thinking. The other thing is how much are the tires falling off? If they're falling off a lot like they are tonight, you might want those tires. And how many cars on the lead lap? If you're leading the race and there's a lot of cars like we see on the lead lap now, then if they don't pit, you're going to lose a lot of positions. And then what position are we in? And then the crew, if they had a good day or bad day, you don't want to make a pit stop if you've had a bad day. You want to just leave your guy out there. And then if the driver really wants to come in, then you let him come in.
Dale, you like the driver input number 6?
Number 6, way down the list, but Kyle seems to hold a lot of weight there. He agreed that was the thing to do. But, yeah, Andy, that's great. You got to take all of those things into consideration.
Hey, I think Alan Bestwick is my hero. I mean, he managed to get Shakespeare into the broadcast of a NASCAR Nationwide Series event. We're going back to green flag racing. Morgan Shepherd, the number 89 car, got the Aaron's lucky dog pass, and Kyle Busch picking up right where he left off, and Jason Leffler did not pit as well, so he is in second place now. Carl Edwards is third. Brad Keselowski is fourth, and Denny Hamlin actually has just gotten around him for fourth as they're duking it out.
We're going to see just how much these tires are worth if these guys can now keep up with Kyle Busch. So far, it looks like Kyle's getting out there pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say the answer to that is no.
Yeah, getting out, having clean air and clean racetrack, being able to put your car where you want on these restarts really means a lot. I know tires means a lot, but if you have that and have a good handling car, which Kyle seems to have, that can mean a lot more at times.
On board with Clint Boyer, he's leading the Nationwide Points Series. Of course, he's from Kansas and a big Kansas fan and was loving the NCAA results. Right now, he'd like one other win. That would be here tonight.
Yeah, we could hear as we had his in-car camera there, he was really having to play with the throttle down on the bottom of the racetrack, which probably meant his car was a little bit loose right then, and he was trying to stay off the 88 car.
It looked like the 88 almost got into the wall.
He looked like he was pretty loose, too. Like the back end stepped out. He's certainly not back. Whoa, look at Clint get sideways.
Yeah, that's a great shot right there, and that's what you fight every lap to try to go fast around here. That's what you're trying to do. And you can see Brad Keselowski being able to come back on the outside because he's able to give it a little bit more throttle as he's not having to put the wheel into it that Clint Boyer is off the corner.
But Dale, you were talking about earlier this week that the guys with the dirt track experience, especially on a track like this, really have an advantage.
Well, it certainly helps because you have to drive it that way a lot here, and I think Clint would tell you that has helped him a lot. But when you have a race car really, really loose, it doesn't matter. You still don't want to wreck yourself or the car that you're racing.
That 2 car is plenty loose right now.
I'm waiting for the organ music, and everybody's held to all skate.
Like Harvick says, I need to get in front of this, man. Yeah. I don't like looking at this from behind.
So far, the 2 guys that did not pit are doing relatively well. Kyle Busch is still out in front. Jason Leffler has fallen back to 4th. Edwards and Denny Hamlin have gotten around him, and it now looks like Carl, with the fresher tires, is closing in on our race leader. Vince, give us an update on Carl.
Well, Carl Edwards had come on. He says, I've got to have some help, guys. This thing is almost undrivable. So they gave him some wedge air pressure adjustment and 4 fresh tires, and you see those 4 tires making a difference as he gets around the 18.
So now, next time, you think everybody will come in, huh?
Well, I know that 18 car will come in next time the caution comes out. Yeah. You can see now how much those tires are worth. See Denny Hamlin, his teammate, pulling up behind him here, just going to kind of duck down below him and probably just ease by him pretty easily.
Well, that's the difference in 30 laps because Kyle pitted on lap 34, Carl on lap 64.
And these are the things that these crew chiefs are thinking in their head. They got to think of all these factors all at once, real quickly. And sometimes you don't make the right decision. You see this wasn't the right decision for Jason Ratcliffe with this 18, but I'm sure they learned something.
Yeah, and they have a good enough car right now that it's not going to hurt them too bad. It's not like they're going to probably fall back and get lapped or anything. They're going to be able to hang on, and it shouldn't hurt them too bad. But they are seeing now that when that caution comes out and we're up front, we've got to get in and get tires.
Well, this battle seems to be continuing even further back into the field. As you can see, there is Keselowski with his hands full with Kevin Harvick. Harvick's on the low side in the 33 and looks like he's going to take the position. And meanwhile, up front, Carl Edwards. He's in front here at Phoenix. Now remember, this time last year, Carl Edwards had 2 wins, was in command of the points lead. He's still looking for win number 1 on the Nationwide Series. Does he get it tonight? Stay with us. Well, we're back here at Phoenix International Raceway under our 4th caution because of an incident between the 88 of Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. As no damage on the 88. He was able to keep it off the wall, but they lost quite a few positions after they had contact. Let's go back and take a look at what happened on the track.
These guys have been racing very hard. You see Kevin Harvick probably getting a little frustrated, not being able to get clear of this 88 car. Gets in there a little hard and gets in the gas and just barely catches him.
Yeah, and sometimes you get those left sides down on the apron, it'll shoot you up the racetrack. And it's kind of off camera there. Kevin was just trying to make the pass. He thought that he had a run there and I don't think he intended to hit him. I think he just thought that he could drive off the corner beside him.
Stay low. Caution's out, caution's out.
Well, as we head for a commercial break, take one more look. This is Clint Boyer from behind, and Clint's saying, please get out of the way. We're at Phoenix. Stay with us. Don't forget, the inaugural Navy Moto X World Championships begin tomorrow on ESPN. ESPN2, it's 3 Eastern on ESPN for the Supermoto Final and the Best Trick Final. Then at 5 Eastern on ESPN2, Ricky Carmichael in the Step Up Final, plus Travis Pastrana and company compete speed and style. Moto X, the Navy Moto X World Championships tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN2. And as we get ready to go back to green flag racing, we'll tell you that the 24 of Eric McClure got the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass, so he's back on the lead lap here on lap 83 of 200. It's Carl Edwards out in front of Denny Hamlin. Kyle Busch stayed out. So did Jason Leffler. They're third and fourth. Fifth place is Kevin Harvick.
Well, once this 18 car made the decision to stay out, they almost have to ride this thing out now, because if they pitted under that caution, they would start way back. I mean, we've got almost 30 cars on the lead lap, 31 cars on the lead lap, and he would have been almost all the way at the back of that.
And we're 17 laps to halfway.
Power move here by Denny Hamlin on the outside of Carl Edwards coming out of turn 4.
Looks like he's going to be able to make it work. He's get clear. So Denny Hamlin takes over the race lead.
Well, these Gibbs Toyotas are just so strong.
Yeah, they really are. You know, we heard Denny, as we talked to him before the race started, talking about the racetrack. He thought it would probably tighten up as they moved along. He may have started his car on that looser side, even though he was able to run in the top 5 most of the time there. Now he's fought his way back as it's cooled down some more to get to the lead.
Denny is our 4th different leader, actually our 5th different leader, with 6 lead changes. Let's check in with Vince Welch.
Jason Ratcliffe is the crew chief for Kyle Busch. You debated whether to bring Kyle in under that yellow. Why did you keep him out?
Well, he had 20 laps on our tires there, and I didn't think they would come. There's so many cars on the lead lap. If we would have made a mistake and come and then they didn't, it would put us way back. Unfortunately, we're making it hard on the driver right now, but the interstate battery car is really good. We'll get back up there.
How about this last yellow? Why did you keep him out?
Well, now we're kind of stuck. We gotta kind of play their game. We need to give it probably another 15 or 20 laps, and hopefully we get that caution and get back on sequence with them.
What this team doesn't want right now, guys, is a long green flag.
Yeah, Vince, if they get a long green flag run here, this 18 car will have to be on pit road by about lap 120. We're at lap 85 right now, so it doesn't really give them a lot of wiggle room. Now, we've seen a lot of cautions already. We probably will see another one, but if we don't, it could put the 18 car a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, and if those guys need a substitute sometime down there, you're right on everything, Andy. That's exactly what you said about each one of those scenarios, and it's interesting that you get yourself in that position sometimes, and you just have to follow through with the plan.
Yeah, but can you think of anybody better than Kyle Busch to be put in this position?
If I had to be, that's the guy you want, because he can make up a deficit. If you get in a hole, this guy can dig you out of it.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to mind when those tires get worn. He drives it and continues to drive. He searches around. We've seen him now move up on the top of the racetrack a little bit, and yeah, that seems to really be helping him. And as we saw,
that was dirt tracking right there.
That was doing that.
Yeah. Boyer was sideways. You could read every logo on the side of that car coming down the straightaway. And he stays in 4th. Actually, I should say 5th. Let me correct myself on that. But take a look at the action right here. And there's Clint as he comes not sliding through that time.
Yeah. Kyle.
Uh-oh. We're getting word that the 29er, Jeff Burton.
I got the ball pretty hard. I got it real hard, actually. Yeah, 4.
You heard Jeff, and there it is. There's the damage on the right front.
Yeah, he's hit the ball pretty hard. They're going to have to spend some time fixing this car.
Let's see, right side, right side.
Let's go back and take another look to see what happened to Jeff.
You can see Jeff trying to make a pass here on David Rudiman. It's down on the inside. really tries to jump in the gas hard, trying to make it get clear there just a little bit. Car gets loose. And you just run out of racing room sometimes. They narrowed that up coming out of there a couple of years ago, and so you've got less racing room. But he was just powered into the gas as hard as he could go.
29. 6 car looking inside. All clear, all clear.
You know, one of the things that caused this wreck was Jeff was way back in the field. They had a disastrous pit stop, the last pit stop, and he was trying to make up some ground and racing around cars that he normally probably wouldn't have been racing there. He had been up front and just driving hard trying to get back up there.
Yeah, how many times do we see that happen, Andy, that you do that? You have a bad pit stop and then you're trying to make something up, and even a veteran like Jeff Burton does things like that. Jamie?
Well, you guys are talking about that. Is exactly what happened the last pit stop. There was a dropped lug nut on the right rear. Well, Jeff came over the radio and said to his crew chief, Pat Smith, I heard you panic a little bit. We can't panic, you guys. We got to stay calm. So that kind of sent them in a tailspin. They made a mistake out on the track. They have right side damage. You see him in the pit box now working on that right side damage. So didn't start off well in that first pit stop, guys.
All right, thanks for the update, Jamie. You see on the left side of the screen, that is a battle for the race lead. Carl Edwards wants it back, and it looks like he's got a nose in front. Can he get it done? Yes, he will. He'll retake it, so it's going to be our 7th lead change. And, boy, here comes Hamlin coming back.
I thought he had him clear right there, but not quite.
Boy, that is so good to watch. Now we're on board with Hamlin.
Yeah, that's what's great about this racetrack is you just drive and drive. You drive hard. You think you got a guy clear, and it's just literally 2 feet, and you just can't make that pass. And then you have to go back and work hard at it again.
Here comes Carl back again. He's got the low groove. Hamlin's car really working well from the center out.
I like the way that high groove is working too. Now, it really worked good for Denny trying to get this lead back, and he does. He gets Carl cleared pretty good, and he's still working the high groove in 1 and 2.
Watching all that is Kevin Harvick in 3rd. Kyle Busch is drifting a little bit further back in 4th, but he's still got contact. Clint Boyer rounds out your top 5.
You see Kevin Harvick right behind these guys. He said, keep on racing, boys. I'll get up there with you.
This is a racetrack that you can, the leaders with good race cars can race side by side and really not lose a lot to that guy in 3rd. Because you can stay, the guy on the bottom can stay in the gas and the guy on the top can roll, and both cars are running speeds that they would have been running or can run by themselves.
Yeah, because you see Kevin Harvick really can't make any ground on these guys. As hard as they're racing, he's not really just like flying right up behind them.
Well, this is great stuff. We've had like, what, 4 or 5 laps in a row now where the 2 are duking it out for the race lead. And Hamlin keeps holding him off each time that Carl Edwards drives on through.
Wow, these guys are giving us our money's worth.
Yeah, that's why we have such a great fan base, as they came to appreciate and like this type of racing. And you're back on the East Coast and it's 11 o'clock. You're glad that you were able to stay up and watch this kind of racing.
All right, let's talk about one thing. A lot of fans may not know it. The spotter stand is way down between turns 1 and 2. How does a spotter clear somebody through 3 and 4?
That's a great point, Marty, and that is really what's playing into this race a little bit of these 2 cars, because you cannot call a car clear off of turn 4 from the angle that the spotters have. Even though we saw from our camera angle a while ago that Carl actually was clear, his spotter couldn't tell him that.
Harvick is closing a little bit on this battle now as he's trying to get into the fray. Hate to do it. We've got to step aside. We'll show you where the spotters are located. There they are, way up between turns 1 and 2. Gives you an idea what the suites are like up there as well. Stay with us. We're coming back.
He's a NASCAR man. Some of the action we've seen in the first half of tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race as we come back live to Phoenix International Raceway. Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin putting on a show for the fans that are here and for you at home as they've gone side by side and back and forth for the lead for about the last 15 laps now. And as they begin to get into some lap traffic at the end of the field, it looks like Edwards just went out and trouble on the racetrack.
Stephen Wallace is going around.
Huge break for Kyle Busch.
Wallace had fought his way from 30th up to 18th.
Looks like he got away with no damage there. Well, a little bit on the right rear.
So Steven, I don't know if he got any assist in that. We haven't seen anything yet, but he had a pretty decent run going, as we pointed out.
See Jason Ratcliffe here telling his guys, surety he's getting them ready for their pit stop. He's hoping everybody else is going to come with him.
Yeah, remember the last time that the 18 car pitted was lap 34. That's 61 laps ago.
Yeah, he did a great job of hanging on to the car there whenever everybody else out there that he was racing around and with had 4 fresher tires than what he had. Now they're going to be able to make any adjustments that they might need to and go back and race these guys.
Let's go back and show you what happened. That's Landon Castle in the 5. And he gets into it.
Definitely.
And misjudged his front end a little bit there. The front end of his car.
Yeah, these 2 young guys are just up on the wheel. Looks like Landon Castle just made a little error in judgment.
That's 2 of our 12 drivers that are under the age of 24. And here comes everybody down pit lane. Boy, Kyle Busch needed this badly. Let's first check in with Mike Massaro.
And Stephen Light hits pit road, and he's looking for just a very slight adjustment. The car's almost perfect. They'll make a 1/10 of a pound air pressure adjustment on the left side tires. 4 tires and a couple of cans of Sunoco racing fuel. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick said his competition is beating him up off the corner. He said, but despite that, we don't need any changes. We're going to take 4 tires. And by the way, take a little tape off that grill to make us a little quicker. Vince.
The 60 car of Carl Edwards is pretty good. They're going to make a quarter round a wedge in the left rear, 4 tires and fuel, and off he goes. Kyle Busch also in for his stop.
Now this is a little different. It looks like Kelly Byers is backwards in his pit stall.
Well, we've never seen this before that I can imagine, but Kelly Byers has made his pit stop. We'll try and sort that one out for you when we come back. This is a little different. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series in Phoenix, presented by CC's Pizza. Remember when Brad Keselowski got turned around with a little help from Kevin Harvick? Well, he was all the way back in 12th before this last caution. Guess who's in front? You're looking at the 88 of Brad Keselowski. He and Kevin LePage stayed out, but LePage is already being passed by the freight train. Everybody else behind him did pit, and I think, yep, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, this is probably going to be not a good move for the 88 team because they're going to lose a lot of spots with these guys on tires.
Well, he last pitted on lap 79. Everybody else pitted on lap 106. It gives you an idea of the difference.
Kyle Busch is wasting no time trying to get his car back to the front where he's been a lot of the night.
And Kyle has the low line under Carl Edwards. Dips 2 below the yellow line, and is he going to be able to clear? Not yet.
Not quite.
Well, this has been good action all night long. Last stretch, it was Denny Hamlin and Carl Edwards. Carl saying, guys, why don't you leave me alone and let me lead for a while?
Nobody said it was going to be easy.
90 laps to go here at Phoenix International Raceway, and it has been a dandy if you've just tuned in. We've had 5 different leaders, 11 lead changes. And you can see what's happening right up front. We're over halfway. We have 30 cars still on the lead lap. These 2 are still going after it. And finally, Kyle gets to clear him. But the question will be, how long? Let's check in once again with Vince Welch.
One of the interesting debates between Kyle Busch and his crew chief Jason Ratcliffe when they came in on that last pit stop was which fenders they were going to repair. They came in and talked about repairing the right front and the right rear. And then they said, well, maybe we better get the left front as well, because Kyle said, I think I did some damage to it. But as you can see, it's not hurting the car too bad, but they are doing some cosmetic repairs in the pits when they come.
Well, we've just set a record for lead changes in this race. The old record was 11 back in 99 and 04. We're now up to 12, and I have a feeling we're not done yet, guys.
No, probably not. And as good as that car has been and everything that's going on, and this comes as no surprise, but Kyle Busch is literally driving the wheels off of this, trying to stay in front of Carl Edwards as he tries to make the bottom side work against Kyle Busch here.
He's able to hold the lead, but his car is not, it doesn't look good. He's having to really wheel the steering wheel, and the car's rear end stepping out. But he's not giving it up.
No, but you got two of the best really driving the race cars right here. You see Carl Edwards get a little bit loose as he tried to jump back in the throttle in between 1 and 2, and his car was loose. So these two guys are two of the best of taking cars that may not be the very best handling and make something good out of it as they put on a great show for the fans.
Well, remember earlier in the broadcast we talked about what was wrong with Carl because at this stage of the season last year, as it gets a little close, nip and tuck, he had 2 wins and was leading the points. He has no wins right now. Is this a get healthy night the way it's going?
Well, he's certainly hungry for another win, I can tell you that. Oh, look at this. Kyle Busch is incredible the way he can control that race car.
And here comes Carl trying to take advantage of it. He's on the low side. Will he be able to hold on?
Most drivers would just pull back and say, okay, my car's too loose, guys. We're going to have to adjust it. Not Kyle Busch. Look at this. He just keeps driving this car.
Yeah, he didn't let that phase him at all going down to the next corner as he got in 3 and 4. He got a great run off of there and got the lead back. And this seems to be where he has a little bit of his problem, that it shows up. He's a little looser there, and Carl's able to beat him a little bit, which we're glad of because it makes for a great race.
Let me throw an idea out here, though. These guys are beating on each other. They've got a full second over the car in 3rd place. Wouldn't it be a little better if you just saved some equipment right now?
But they both want to lead the race.
Yeah, that's not entered into either one of them's mind. This is what they do and how they do it, and it's great for everyone to be able to watch that they're that talented that they can drive these cars like this and still be at least pulling away from the field.
Hey, I'm agreeing. I love what's going on, but you only get to kiss the trophy girl if you end up in victory lane, right?
Yeah, but these guys realize that they have enough talent. You know, they've done all of this racing and really haven't touched each other right there. So that's how good they really are, and we're fortunate to be watching it. They better look in their mirror as Denny Hamlin's coming to them quick.
But let me go back to Nashville because, remember, Kyle kept pushing, pushed a little too far, took himself out of the win.
We see the 88 car, Brad Keselowski, able to still hold a pretty decent position right here.
Well, there is Brad Keselowski, and he has dropped back to 7th. Let's check in with Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, you remember they opted to stay out on that last pit stop. Tony Uri Sr., his crew chief. Tony, why the decision to stay out?
Well, we lost a set of tires when Harvick spun us out over there, so we're just going to have to pay the price sometime tonight, either in the middle of the race or at the end of the race. So we decided to go ahead and just see how far we fall back here. These guys are going to stop again. Nobody can make it on fuel, so they stop, put on tires. We'd be a dead duck at the end. So we're just going to take our beating right here for a little while, and hopefully the caution will be out here in a little bit. We'll get tires on it and go back to racing them guys again.
All right, Andy, you alluded to it earlier. The tire problem, these guys have a set number, 6 sets, and they only have 1 set left, and we have just a little less than half of a race left.
Yeah, that's one of the things these guys have to do is they budget those tires for the entire race, and they don't want to have to do this, but they had to leave him out just so they could save that set of tires.
So you want to be a crew chief? That's the decision sometimes you have to make, and Brad Keselowski now has to do exactly what we saw Kyle Busch doing earlier. He's got to try and stay in contention until they get to that next pit stop. All right, we're going to step aside for a moment. You're looking at Kyle Busch. He's got a 0.3 of a second lead over Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer. That's your top 5 at Phoenix.
Past the halfway point of tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series race at Phoenix International Raceway. Our coverage presented by Cece's Pizza. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards putting on a show for the top spot for a while. But for now, it has settled in with Kyle Busch opening up about a 5-car length lead on Edwards. Looking back through the running order, a couple of guys' performances tonight standing out for me. First among them, as we take a look at our Holiday Inn Express race summary and some of the facts and figures on the night. Still got a lot of cars on the lead lap. And the caution flags, well, so far we've had 5 of them. Remember, we've had 11 in each of the last 2 races here at Phoenix, and most of them in the second half of the race. Back to that, guys whose runs have stood out to me tonight. Stephen Light, 6th position in this Richard Childress Racing 21 car. Mike, what are they saying?
Well, Alan, just about every time, well, actually every time Stephen Light's been behind the wheel of this 21 car this year, it's been more or less an audition. He started the season with only 2 races on his schedule, but added this 3rd one, and so far is making the most of it. He's charged from the 22nd starting position inside the top 10. Most of the evening, however, it's basically been a coaching session. His spotter, Jay Shue, has been coaching him throughout the night, telling him how to get through 3 and 4. They want him to pitch it down as close to the bottom of the racetrack as possible. That's where they think he can to make the most gains. Jamie?
Well, we haven't talked about this guy all night, but David Reagan in the 6th. He's slowly been working his way up. He qualified 16th. Right now, he's running the best he has all night. He had too much air pressure for most of the first part of the race. That last pit stop, they took more air pressure out, and he said the car's good. He's been pretty quiet. Remember, David Reagan, only 22 years old, and tonight making his 50th start in the Nationwide Series. Let's see if he can bring it home for his 5th top 10 tonight. Vince?
David Rudiman in the 99 car is running 9th. They caught a bit of a break 20 laps ago when they came in for a pit stop. They had a right front going down, did not realize it until they took the tires off. So that certainly enabled them to avoid a certain disaster out on the racetrack. Rudiman says the car is a bit tight in the center. Crew Chief Jerry Baxter says he's seen a dramatic change in David Rudiman. Last year, just happy to be here. This year, not satisfied with anything less than challenging. Mike?
And for the 4th guy of these people we've been keeping an eye on, nice run for Mike Bliss, making his 2nd drive in James Finch's 1 car. Remember, he took over that ride just a week ago in Texas, started 19th tonight, and Bliss has worked his way up just inside the top 10 now, taking the 10th spot away from Jason Leffler just a minute ago. 69 laps to go in tonight's race. Another round of pit stops coming up. Right now, Kyle Busch out in front, trying to make it back-to-back wins last week at Texas and tonight.
Welcome back to the Bashas Supermarket 200. Want to remind you, next week the Nationwide Series moves south of the border to Mexico City, the world's 3rd largest metropolis behind Tokyo and New York. 3 different winners in 3 Mexico races: Martin Truex, Denny Hamlin, and of course Juan Pablo Montoya. Coverage begins. NASCAR Countdown 1:30 Eastern. All right, as we check back in, Kyle Busch is in front of Carl Edwards now by 1.2 seconds. There is our race leader, and you want to see what 1.2 seconds looks like on the track? There it is. Carl Edwards reporting a bit of a problem, an issue with the number 60.
Yeah, just a little loose, like we can lower that track bar a little bit.
10-4, we can roll the track bar around.
Yeah, maybe I'll stick with the wedge, that's been working.
All right, 10-4.
And while we've got a moment, let's check in the ESPN Dish Tech Center, the Chevy Cutaway car with Tim Brewer. Tim?
Hey, Marty, what they're talking about wedge, folks, that's when he's going to run the left rear wedge bolt down. What that's going to do is put load on the left rear spring, and it's basically transferring weight. More weight to the left rear, more weight to the right front. It's basically going to tighten the car up. And you can usually go by the severity of his voice. When he's talking calm, probably needs a round. But when that voice gets real high, DJ, hey, you better tighten that guy up because he needs a lot of wedge.
Yeah, it's funny how crew chiefs and drivers learn to communicate, and whenever things are going well and you're on that same page, you don't have to say any more than just that crew chief knows, Andy, from the tone of that voice, just like Tim was saying, how much you need to go with your race car.
That's exactly right. I know I've heard guys come on that radio and go, I'm loose, man. When he does that, you better start spinning some screws.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they're singing soprano, look out. Right now, Carl Edwards is 1.1 seconds behind. He has got about 3 seconds over 3rd place Denny Hamlin. So it has sort of settled down up front. Meanwhile, take a look back in the field. This is a battle for 23rd. You're on board with Robbie Gordon. That's Kelly Byers. Remember Kelly, last time we saw him, he was turned around in the wrong direction in pit lane. Let's get more from Mike Massaro.
And a frustrating evening for sure for Kelly Byers and, of course, his crew chief, Scott Cipodelli. They were expecting big things tonight. Felt like they had a pretty good race car before getting turned around on pit road. Now, there was a very hot and heated discussion between Scott Cipodelli and NASCAR officials. It appeared, from what I could listen in on, that Scott was pretty upset and almost thought that the 64's contact with the 47 on pit road, in his opinion anyway, was intentional. And certainly Scott was not happy about that and was lobbying for NASCAR to penalize the 64. That did not happen. But obviously this team a little discontent right now.
Well, the 64 being David Stremme, and Stremme right now is running in 15th position. Kelly Byers is in 22nd.
Yeah, but you see Kyle Busch right behind Kelly Byers. That's why you see that 47 car running so hard. He wants to try to stay on this lead lap as long as possible.
Yeah, and we see Carl Edwards is caught up to Kyle Busch also, and that's how Carl really got behind, was because of traffic. And now that Kyle's run into some faster cars that are getting ready to be a lap down, it's slowing him down a little bit and allowed Carl to get back to his bumper.
Well, you saw Kelly go a lap down, so that means we now have 21 cars on the lead lap. You're on board with Robbie Gordon.
Yeah, when you start getting up into these cars that are further up in the running order that are going a lap down, they're not just going to move over for the leader. Now, when they were back in those 30th, 25th to 30th, those guys kind of move out of the way. Yeah. But as you move up here, they're not going to, and you're going to see these guys maybe hold Kyle Busch up a little bit.
Riding along with Robbie Gordon. Robbie looked like he's struggling a little bit. He can't get his car to the bottom. We've watched him most of the night, or a lot of the night, and he just hasn't been able to get his car down to the bottom and really accelerate off the corner to really run some good lap times. Well, you see Carl Edwards, he was getting a little loose coming through the corner right behind Kyle Busch.
They put a lap on Kenny Wallace in the 28.
Yep, Kenny was in 21st, so now we have 20 cars on the lead lap here at Phoenix International Raceway with 55 laps to go. There's your top 5 here at Phoenix. Does Kyle Busch go back-to-back after winning at Texas last week, or does Carl Edwards pick up win number 1 of 08? Stay with us to find out. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix, presented by CC's Pizza. Our aerial coverage brought to you by Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, helping NASCAR drivers get to the finish line for over 50 years. Gosh, what a beautiful view as we look down from high above. As Kyle Busch has now got a 0.6 of a second lead over Carl Edwards. Denny Hamlin is in 3rd. Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer round out your top 5. And Vince, what's going on with the 18?
Well, because of how this track changes with the heat and going from day to night, not to mention the huge difference in the corners, the drivers have to be able to adapt, and they also have to be able to communicate to their crew chief what changes they might want. Kyle Busch was a bit indecisive in this last radio exchange.
Need to be able to turn the center better, but I got all I got in the beginning of the run on exit. You can't make me any freer on exit, really. I don't know if you've got maybe some more air pressure you can do in the right front or left side or something, or something maybe in the right rear, maybe some wedge out, track bar down or something. I don't know.
Well, he gave a whole menu of options for Jason Ratcliffe to decide. I'm not quite as sure exactly what decision they're going to make. They've got one more pit stop, and we'll have it for you.
Well, and the thing I want to ask you, crew chief, is did you ever fib to your drivers that, yeah, I got it all covered for you?
Well, Marty, you may not fib to him, but that right there is going to be hard to fix. I'll just tell you that right now. And as good as his car's running, you listen to that, you just kind of smile and say, okay, we'll just put 4 tires on it and go back to work.
Yeah, you've always, as a driver, you always wonder if they really did anything. Because I know that's almost impossible to fix. You got to be freed up through the center a little bit, but gosh, I can't stand to be any freer off the corner. And as a driver, that's tough to fix, but you're asking for it anyway because you might have a miracle in there somewhere. Well, we just passed the bottom of the hour. If you're just tuning in, we welcome you to the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Kyle Busch is out in front. He has led 107 laps so far. And, of course, we only have 45 remaining. In second place, it's Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer rounding out your top 5.
Little by little, Carl Edwards is knocking a little of this lead off. And I see some pretty good lap times from the 60 right here.
Yeah, he falls back a little bit, and then all of a sudden he comes running back up there. I saw Kyle Busch run some laps down in the 28-second bracket, and I thought, well, he's going to pull away now. And then all of a sudden Carl starts running down, and they're running some of their fastest times right now, and they've been running on these tires for quite a while. Let's sort of drift back through the field a little bit, pick up the battle for 10th position. You've got David Rudeman there in the 99 car, and here comes Jason Leffler in the 38 Toyota, the Great Clips Toyota, as we go on board. It's our fresh from Florida onboard camera. You can see the telemetry that's lap traffic that they're going around. That's Curtis Davis.
You can hear these guys really working that throttle.
Yeah, and you can see Jason almost diamond that a little bit, even though there was a car there. He let the car go up in the center just a little bit where he could get a little bit straighter shot off the corner. Probably the car's a little bit tight through the center, and we heard Kyle Busch complain about that. Would be what he was talking about, that he's probably having to diamond it a little bit more than he's wanting to. These guys are having really good runs right here. We have a battle for the lead. Take a look. Here comes Carl Edwards. He goes underneath, and now he closes the deal and takes the lead. So now we have our 13th lead change.
One thing I've noticed is the brake rotors on this 18 car have been glowing pretty good all night, and I haven't seen a lot of color in Carl's, and I don't know if that plays into this long run as these tires start wearing and you start getting a lot of air pressure build up. Those brakes will actually make those tires build up even more.
Yeah, they will. And you can see a little more on that right front on the 18 car, the brake dust on that right front wheel. So that means he's been on those pretty hard. And that, you're right, Andy, that could make the difference as he might start sliding the right front, and that creates not as much speed through the center then. And so then that makes it more difficult on the exit.
Well, we're 53 laps into this run. The last time ever these guys up front pitted was lap 106. Again, Andy, what are we looking at here with 40 laps to go? What happens at the next caution?
Well, they're definitely coming down pit road and going to get 4 tires if it would come out now. If that thing comes out real late, it's going to be interesting. They can't make it from here. They have to make another pit stop. So it's going to be, you can see some of these crew chiefs just kind of trying to figure out what are we going to do. That's PK up there. That's Carl Edwards, crew chief, for watching. And, you know, it's agonizing for him because they did take the lead, but he knows they have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, here's a great battle for the 10th spot.
Actually 11th and 12th, and Jason Keller, remember Keller had the damage earlier, and he's coming back strong, Jamie.
He sure is. What a run he's had tonight. I think he's pitted about 4 more times than anybody else on the racetrack. He knocked the toe out. He was tight. He had to get tires twice, all 4 redone. They had to redo the right front fender, and he's worked his way from 30th all the way up into 12th, so that tells you he had a pretty good car. Actually, he got around Jason Leffler. He's 11th right now. Impressive run for Jason Keller tonight.
Well, what really makes it impressive when you realize when we now have 17 cars on the lead lap, tip of the hat to this whole crew.
I tell you what, this team here races with a lot of heart. We talked to Jason Keller in the garage area, and these guys he doesn't even have an engineer other than his crew chief. We see him taking another spot from David Rudeman, but they don't even have an engineer on staff. They don't have a lot of the tools that these other teams have, and for them to run this well, without damage. They've got damage, and they're running up inside now, pulled into the top 10. Well, pretty impressive run.
He's running 29.3 second laps. That's as good as guys in second and third place are running, and the heck with all those aerodynamics. Look, you don't need it. He's proven it.
Yeah, and this is the type of racetrack that Jason Keller can really excel on also. So it's nice to see they got their sponsorship. They've got a lot of good things happening there, and now they're backing all of that up with a really good run here tonight.
Some good close action. There is the view out the back. You're looking at Jason Leffler. And right now we check in with Stephen Wallace as he is 20th, 1 lap down, started 30th when we had a report that just a few moments ago he had a bit of a fright.
Stephen gets up against the wall just a little bit.
Let's go on board with Clint Boyer. There's Stephen in the 66 right up there. Ouch. Looks worse from that angle. Meanwhile, let's check back in with our race lead. Carl Edwards has got a 1.4 second lead over Kyle Busch. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer rounds out your top 5. Carl Edwards looking for victory number 1 of the 2008 Nationwide Series season. It's been an eventful evening. We've had a record-setting lead changes. Hey, if this was drag racing, we could say that's Don the Prudhomme.
Under the lights at Phoenix International Raceway with Carl Edwards, the defending series champion, leading. Look at the comparison between his start in the championship year of 2007 and this year. The column I particularly want to point out, laps led. Last year, 237 laps led coming into this race. He only led 2 laps before tonight. And we're closing now on what will be a crucial set of pit stops. These 2 crews about side by side on the pit lane. The Interstate Battery crew for Joe Gibbs Racing and Carl Edwards' team for Roush Fenway just beyond. And these 2 pit crews may decide the race if this thing stays green, even if a caution comes out. A bobble on a pit stop, something going wrong, may determine which one of those guys gets out in front of the other on this final pit stop, and that might be the margin between winning tonight and going home unhappy. Andy Petrie, you've coached crews many times in your role as a champion crew chief. When you're getting ready for a crucial money stop like this, what are those crew chiefs saying to their guys?
Alan, what they're saying is they're just trying to make sure that these guys don't get too excited or try to go too fast. Just make a good, solid pit stop. Execute. You don't want to make any mistakes. But what's going to happen here, I'm afraid we're going to see some maybe gas and goes. We're going to see possibly 2 tires. I don't think we'll see a 4-tire stop under green because we're only going to have maybe 10 laps to go when these guys do make that pit stop. So it's going to be fun to watch, see what these guys do. I expect to see some guys just get fuel and try to get out there.
We have been green for 64 laps. I realized I've probably just jinxed us for another caution, but it is significant because the last year, I mean, both races, we had 11 cautions. So far tonight, we've only had 5. Changes up your strategy a lot, DJ.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing that's going to change the strategy here is Carl Edwards' ability to pull out to a 2.5-second lead right now. That's changed the whole thing. You know, he could make a little bit of mistake, or he could just be, I shouldn't say a mistake, he could be a little bit easier to make sure that he doesn't speed now because he doesn't have that 18 car right on his bumper. He's got some breathing room.
Let's get an update on Carl Edwards from Vince Welch.
Carl Edwards and his crew chief Pierre Cattell having a very similar conversation on the radio as Kyle Busch and his crew chief Jason Ratcliffe as they both discuss the possibility of 2 tires or 4 tires. But the 60 of Carl Edwards says they're going to go with 2 tires and no adjustments. They're scheduled to pit in 9 laps.
So as we get closer to the money stop, the drama continues to build as we went from a stretch where we literally had side-by-side racing lap after lap to what is now turning out to be that one critical decision that you make.
They only have to have 15 laps of fuel. That's not much fuel. So that's 3 or 4 seconds maybe. With the gas can plugged in, it's going to take them about 7 seconds or maybe just a little bit more to change right side tires. So they're going to give up a little bit of track time to get those tires. I'm not sure I wouldn't just try to get gas and just get out there if I was one of these guys. Carl, like you said, is in a better position.
Caution's out.
And the caution flies as we are getting a report from NASCAR that there is debris on the track.
Now this will change a lot of that what we just talked about because we have 22 laps to go. And they still only need 15 laps of fuel, so these guys have got a big decision to make.
Yeah, I was hoping to see green flag stops.
4 tires of fuel, half around wedge in the left rear.
Okay, you heard the call from Pierre Cattell. 4 tires.
So we know what the 60 car is doing.
Yeah, and I think as long as they've run here, they're going to have to put, and Kyle Busch's car is falling off. I don't think he can afford to just get 2 tires right now. I think they've got too much time as we see the debris on the racetrack there. So we're going to set up a real battle, a shootout here at the end, and these cars were very equal on the last restart. Should be a lot of fun.
And that is in that second line, so a good call to get that out of the way. Looks like some piece of metal came off of somebody's car. And here comes the cars that are taking, and looks like all of our race leaders. Let's send it to Mike Massaro, who's up first.
And Stephen Light saying he's a little bit free on entry, but his biggest problem is that he's tight in the middle. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, taking a half round out of the left rear, also a slight air pressure adjustment, and just a little bit of fuel. They don't need a full fuel load. Jamie?
And that's right. Kevin Harvick comes in as the Sunoco Splash and Go. We're calling it 4 tires. He said he's tighter through the middle. He comes in 4th, and that's a 33 Kevin Harvick. Vince?
The 60 and the 18 are pitted one right in front of the other. You look at Carl Edwards, just ahead of him is Kyle Busch. Edwards says they're going to take a round to left rear, quarter round to left rear, and don't fill it full. Kyle Busch, meanwhile, gets out a little quicker.
All right, so there you see the 2 guys that have been running up front a lot of this race tonight. We're going to take a break. You can see the race off pit road. Kyle Busch picked up 3.
Drama here at Phoenix in the late laps, a change of the lead. More on that in just a second. First, a reminder of what else is upcoming on our ESPN2 Motorsports calendar. Tomorrow morning, get ready for the Cup race here at Phoenix. NASCAR Now, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, including live reports from here at the Speedway. NHRA action, qualifying, 8 Eastern Time, and finals Sunday night, 8 Eastern Time. That's the SummitRacing.com NHRA Nationals. And then on Monday's NASCAR Now Roundtable, wrap-up of the racing weekend here in Phoenix, as well as a very thorough discussion of what has been the hot topic at the racetrack this weekend, NASCAR's drug testing policy. Is it enough? Should it be more? Terry Labonte, Brad Daugherty, Mike Massaro, and I, Monday, 5:30 Eastern Time, ESPN2 NASCAR Now. Getting ready for the restart. The new leader of the race is the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Brad Keselowski made a green flag pit stop earlier. He's tail end of the lead lap. Watch the two pit crews side by side. Focus on the right rear of the 60 car. That's where the trouble was that made the difference between the 18 car coming in behind the 60 and going out in front. So Kyle Busch's team with a smooth final pit stop, while Carl Edwards' team had a little hiccup on that right rear. And now Carl, after all that work to get by Kyle, has got to do it again. And they've got Keselowski in front of them on the tail end of the lead lap. We go green with 17 to go, full throttle.
He's green flag, green flag, green flag. 1 your lane, 22 downstairs. 3 wide, you got the top. 2 wide, just at 88 your lap. You're clear to the bottom. 16 inside.
That's the 5 of Landon Castle. Does a Danny Sullivan spin and doesn't hit a thing.
We're all good. We're all good. Caution's out here.
1985, Danny Sullivan pulled that move at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, went on to win the race. I don't think Landon's going to win the race, but the 18-year-old just did a nice job.
Pretty impressive. Didn't even put a mark on the car.
Let's take another look and see what happened here as we're quickly into our 7th caution on the restart. Oh, he's going to get help. That's Marcus Ambrose into him.
It's a little 360.
Nice job. He moved down to Charlotte from Iowa. His grandmother came with him. I mean, he is only 18 years old, and the story is that they play cards every Tuesday night, and Dario Franchitti says Grandma is a card shark. So Landon came up all aces in this one, didn't touch a thing. We'll be back to see who wins this thing here at Phoenix. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix, presented by CC's Pizza. We're under our 7th caution as it's getting ready to come to a close. A couple of things we didn't get time to tell you. Clint Boyer on that previous caution was caught speeding through pit lane. He was sent back to the end of the longest line. He is now in 13th position. So the guy who won here last year in serious jeopardy of not doing it again. And also put a period on Jason Keller's night on the restart. They blew it up. He had gotten himself up to 9th, even despite all the damage. Tip of the hat to that team, but they are done for the evening. Lights are out on the pace car. This time by, we're going to have 13 laps, and nope, lights came back on the pace car. So it gives us a chance to talk about the fact that everybody's got 4 tires. Now it's just strictly up to who can drive the best.
Carl Edwards was glad to see this caution because that last restart kind of got everybody jumbled up with that 88 car actually starting in front of these guys on the tail end of the lead lap. And Kyle Busch was able to get by, and Carl wasn't. So,
well, let's check in with Vince. He's with Jason Ratcliffe.
Well, a great pit stop by the 18 crew, Jason, but now it's up to your driver on this last restart. Any words between the two of you before you go?
Nah, we just tried to figure out what adjustments we were going to need on that last stop to be good on a short run. We knew it was going to come down to a short run, and we opted to tighten up his exit a little bit. He needed his drive off to be better there, so I think we're going to be in good shape. I am very thankful for this pit crew. I want to thank Mike Lepp and Paul Leppa for all their hard work, pit coach trainers, and also Steve Addington for letting me borrow these guys.
Yeah, if Kyle Busch wins this one tonight, guys, a big pat on the back to the guys that got over the wall on that last stop, no question.
All right, let's set the scene here because lights are out on the pace car. In your guys' opinion, who's better on the restarts?
I think if they tighten Kyle Busch up just a little bit and it doesn't hurt the center of the corner, that he's going to be the best, and he's got the best position to clear this lap traffic.
I think he's going to be the best on the restart, even if they didn't tighten him up. I think he's going to get going right here.
All right, we've got 15 cars on the lead lap. This time by, it'll be 12 to go here at Phoenix. Race number 8 of the Nationwide Series. We're back to green, and boy, here Coach Carl on the throttle.
See, Kyle was able to clear Stephen Wallace, and here's Carl Edwards kind of hung up behind him.
Now Stephen gets down low, and that gives Carl the line to get around him. Right behind Carl is the 20 of Denny Hamlin. In 4th, it's Kevin Harvick. 5th is now David Reagan.
So Carl's got a long way to go and a short time to get there. This
car's right on the bottom, and it just takes a little bit to close up that gap and be able to get there to put a little bit of pressure in and make Kyle either overdrive the car into the corner a little bit to make this very interesting.
5 of the last 6 Phoenix winners have led the most laps. Guess who's done that tonight? You got it. The guy in front, Kyle Busch, 120 and counting. 10 laps to go this time by, and right now, Kyle is in control.
Carl Edwards ran a faster lap time that lap, so he's tracking him down here.
Yeah, I'm not watching Kyle Busch run there. I'm not sure that he could overdrive it into the corner. As hard as he getting there anyway.
Oh, and Jason Leffler has turned it around.
Flat tire, cautions out.
Leffler was running 15th, the last car on the lead lap, and you heard the call on a flat tire.
Flat, boys.
9 times out of 10, a flat left rear tire on a restart like this is contact with another car. You can see a little bit of damage on that left rear.
There it is. That brings out our 8th caution. So far, we've had 32 laps of the 200 scheduled tonight under caution. Let's take a look.
See Mike Wallace?
Yep, there's your rub.
Still out there, outside, all clear, all clear.
Go on board with Jason.
Inside, the 25.
That was earlier contact from the 25 car.
Right side, get it ready.
I think it was actually the earlier contact that caused this, not the 25 car getting into Jason.
Take a look at Pierre Cattell. It's his reaction on the fact that we went yellow. It did not help his driver as the laps are winding down. This time by, it'll be 8 to go as we're under our 8th caution here at Phoenix. Kyle Busch seems to have the upper hand. Stay with us, see if he can pull it off 2 in a row after winning last week. 6 laps to go this time by at Phoenix International Raceway. Means that the lead lap cars will have the track to themselves, all 15 of them. It'll be up front. It'll be Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, David Reagan, and here we go. And again, another good restart for the 18.
These Toyotas just got so much power on the restart. They just get out there a couple car lengths before they get to turn 1. Kind of leaves Carl with a little bit of ground to make up.
Yeah, it looked like he almost caught him sleeping a little bit too right there. He got a great jump, and Carl's, he needs a few laps, and he's running out of those laps. Seems his car's a little bit better after they get a little bit of heat.
Take a look at the cars trying to run their way into the top 10. Clint Boyer is back up to 8th, but the laps are winding down. Remember, he had that penalty. Had to go to the back of the longest line for speeding in pit lane. This time by, there'll be 4 laps to go.
Yeah, he was trying to pass Mike Bliss, who's done a great job tonight. He's got his car up into the top 10, and just we haven't talked much about him, but he's just steadily made his way up there.
Bliss in this feel-out process. We talked to him before the race. He's up to 7th, and he said, you know, I like it one way. They're used to setting it up another way, but obviously they've meshed pretty good tonight.
They're starting to get it together, and Mike Bliss is a great talent. I really think a lot of his talent on the racetrack. Yeah. And here comes Carl.
Yeah, this race isn't over yet. We saw them race side by side for 3 or 4 laps at a time. You can see Kyle's still a little bit loose right there.
Here comes Carl.
Inside.
This is side by side as they head for the corner. Who's going to have the lead? This time by, it'll be 2 laps to go. They're coming out of 2.
There you go.
Kyle holds him off.
That works well up in turn
3 and 4. Caution is out.
Oh,
way to fight.
The caution has come out, and again, it's the 29 of Jeff Burton. He had contact earlier in the race, and it looks like another problem for the Holiday Inn Chevrolet.
It hit really hard.
Well, you heard Jeff. It hit really hard.
Yeah,
Twice he said that.
Some of this earlier damage looks like, yeah, he blew a right front tire.
Ow.
Made you wonder if maybe that other damage didn't cause that.
Yeah. So it looks like we may have a green-white checker, depending on how quickly they can clean this up. We have 3 to go, and we're getting word that, yes, that will be the situation.
Carl has to get a better restart this time. He has to keep that bumper right up on the rear bumper of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure that's going to be enough, Andy, because it seems that his car is just a little better after they run 2 or 3 laps that he can start kind of chasing him down, and he's not going to have that much time. But you never know. If he can get right on his bumper, that may change, but it just seems his car's a little better than
He can just rattle his cage a little bit, as Earnhardt used to say.
I'm not sure you can do that.
Let's check in with the Pierre Cattell. What's he think?
Well, he's sitting here with his hands on his chin. What is this moment like for you?
It's pretty tough. The guys on his World Financial Group Ford's been just working their tails off all weekend here. We ran all the practices, just wore this thing out basically, and Carl's getting it done here, so hopefully we can finish it off.
Does he have enough to get it done right now?
I think so. If we get a good restart, he might be able to get it done.
How about Mom? I see you look like you're driving the car here. How are you holding up?
Oh, I'm about to die. It's very exciting. I just wish they'd get this thing over with. I'm really about to die.
Well, she's got to hold tight. 3 laps to go, guys.
This will be our 3rd green-white checker this year. We had one at Las Vegas, another at Atlanta. And if is that operative word, if Carl can get a good restart, because the last 2, it's been all Kyle.
You know, Carl's going to give it all he's got here.
Well, the first thing is, you know, is going to be different. He's going to be ready to go way before he was the last time. And, you know, I don't know if Kyle Busch started a little earlier last time before the starting point's supposed to be. But I'll assure you that Carl Edwards is going to be ready from the point right now. Anytime Kyle Busch starts to take off, he's going to be on his bumper.
Well, does Toyota pick up its 4th win this year? Or does Ford pick up its 2nd in the manufacturer's battle? Does Kyle go back-to-back, or does Carl Edwards end a 27-race winless streak? We're back to green. 2 laps to decide it all.
Carl gets a great restart here. This is the best start he's had.
Yeah, Kyle Busch got back into gas hard right there. He had a little wider line and really got a good run off of the corner. He'll be coming back to the white flag here, so Carl doesn't have much time, but he's got it stuck right on the bottom, doing everything he can.
This time by, the white flag will fly.
One more time.
1 mile to go here at Phoenix. Kyle Busch with about 2 car lengths over Carl Edwards. Down through turns 1 and 2. Here comes Carl. He's trying to close the gap. Does he have enough? They make it through the kink, heading for 3.
This is where Carl's really been good, getting back to the gas really hard. Kyle Busch gives him the bottom.
Kyle Busch, though, going to come out of turn number 4. He's going to pick up a 2nd straight win here at Phoenix and 2nd in a row this year.
Oh, yeah, boys. Awesome job. Thank you so much. Come on, give me a group hug.
Great job by Kyle Busch and his team.
That's the 15 cars you saw across the top of your screen that were on the lead lap. And let's have a group hug. We'll see that hug in victory lane. And look at the celebration. They're even giving Jamie a group hug. Can't imagine why.
Yeah, that was just a very entertaining race all night. Just, you know, 2 guys just giving it everything that they had as drivers and showing us the talent that they have. Just a great night. And before we get on, I'm sure we'll talk about this more, but Mike Bliss did a terrific job. Jamie?
And the crew chiefs giving each other high five and congratulations. Jason, I asked Pierre what that moment was like. The 4th restart, what was going through your mind?
I didn't make the right adjustments. I mean, Kyle Busch is just, he got up on the wheel there. And we just too loose off. We had it fixed on the 2nd run, and then we started working on the center, and the exits started getting worse. And I didn't go far enough there, but great job, these guys, man. Praise the Lord for Kyle Busch, and praise the Lord for these guys on this Interstate Battery team. Glad we could get a win for Norm Miller. Been with JGR for a long time, and it's a lot of fun.
What is it about Kyle Busch? What makes him so different?
I don't know. He's just great, man. Thanks, man. He, I don't know. If we knew that, there'd be a lot of him out there, and there's not. He's a one of a kind.
Congratulations, Jason Ratcliffe brings it home for the 2nd week in a row. Mark?
Think about this. He won here last November, led 132 laps. He led 133 tonight, and there's the group hug.
He meant it when he said a group hug, didn't he? Come out here, boys.
Mike has caught up with a very dejected Carl Edwards.
Actually, not so dejected, smiling. It looked like you kind of enjoyed those closing laps. How would you describe them?
I'm just watching Kyle here and remembering not to run second to him again. You know, that's frustrating. It's too bad somebody's got to lose a race like that. That's fun right there. I'm proud of my World Financial Group guys. Kyle did a great job. It's fun to be able to race that hard. It's just, man, it's too bad to have to run second.
It seemed like it took your car 5-6 laps to get wound up to be able to make a run. How did that last caution affect your chances of winning tonight?
Good job. The last caution hurt us. Tell you what hurt us, that the pit stop got us, you know, he got us off a pit road, and that hurt us a little bit, but
all in all, though, a pretty good points race, or for your points night, I should say. Seems like everything's falling into place for you right now.
Oh, yeah, it's getting better and better. We're coming. We'll get them tomorrow. It's going to be good, but just thank all my fans and all my sponsors, and congrats to Kyle. Man, I just wish we had a couple more laps.
And if he did, Marty, who knows? He might be the guy in victory lane, but pretty good night for Carl Edwards. He led 38 laps and brought it home second.
Absolutely, and cut the points margin to 24 behind Clint Boyer. So not a bad night at all, despite the fact that he came home second to that man right there, Kyle Busch, who picks up his 13th career Nationwide Series win here at Phoenix. And I still remember talking to him before qualifying. He said, I don't know if we have enough to go, you know, a 32 to take Keselowski off the pole, and he does it by almost 2/10.
I know what he said, but I feel like he knew he had it.
Yeah, this is such a fun place to win a race because you, as a driver, you know how much you had to do with it. You could see those guys giving it everything that they had, and that's what's so rewarding about being exactly where he is.
Well, let's send it down to Vince because the man of the hour has made it to victory lane for the second week in a row.
Kyle Busch just preparing to get out of the race car. Not only is it back-to-back wins in the Nationwide Series with his victory last week at Texas, but it's also back-to-back wins here at Phoenix because he was the winner last November as well. As everybody gets the shower here at victory lane. Kyle, some great duels with Carl Edwards in the final laps. Where did you feel like you had an advantage over him?
I really didn't. He had a great race car there today, and you know, one that might have been better than this Interstate Battery Toyota Camry. How about Toyota Camry? I'll say Toyota Camry again. But I just want to thank Interstate dealers and distributors, all them guys do an awesome job for us, and Norm Miller and them boys. And so being in a Toyota, you know, that just made it worthwhile tonight. And, you know, your eyes are burning. Mine normally are, so you feel my pain. But just a great night for us, you know. I mean, he had a great race car there, but luckily we kept getting those cautions where we could at least get another 2-lap jump or so, because our car was good on the 2-lap jumps, but, you know, he had us there from about 5 to about 15, and then 15 to 45 we had him, and then from there on out he had us.
The last pit stop, he got to his box first, but you came in and your team got you out ahead.
Yeah, these boys won the race for us tonight on pit road. They did an awesome job for us, being able to get us out first. And, you know, I might have been able to get by them there on that restart with all those guys going crazy in turn one, but, you know, still it was much easier trying to just race up front than it was going to have to be to pass them. So, fortunately, we had a great enough race car tonight with this Toyota Camry from Interstate Batteries that we were able to get it done.
You said at the beginning of the season you were going to evaluate this Nationwide Series season as it progressed in regards to the championship. You moved from 5th to 3rd in points tonight. Do you give some consideration to continuing on and running each race? Because I know that's not your schedule right now.
Well, the consideration's there. These guys are having a great time. So proud of that, and all of JGR. But, you know, for us, it's just a race-by-race deal. I told you if I go out and win these next 8 races in a row, we might reevaluate it. But, you know, it's still, you know, it's great to be able to come out here racing a Nationwide Series. I have such a blast. But, you know, right now our concentration is we set forth for that Cup effort, and we're 3rd in points over there too. So we've got some work to do on that side to get further up in the points and stay there. And if this will follow along just fine, then maybe we'll keep going.
Well done.
Thanks.
Hey, Vince, get a towel.
I need one, I can assure you that.
Wow, they bathed you. Holy smokes. Life has gotten very dangerous down there for our pit reporters, but a great win for Kyle Busch here tonight as he gets win number 13 in the Nationwide Series. He said he'd win 8 in a row. Well, he's got 2. He's only got 6 more to go. Maybe he will go for the championship. And there's the burnout along the front straightaway. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to show you. And here's a great sign of sportsmanship from Carl as he congratulates the winner. The NASCAR Nationwide Series at Phoenix is presented by CiCi's Pizza, where you can enjoy our endless buffet of pizza, pasta, salad, and desserts desserts, and in part by Carfax. And as we soar overhead, as we have a few more moments, let's talk about the man in third place was Denny Hamlin. He's with Mike Massaro.
And an all-around good night for Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin finishing third. How would you describe the night?
About third place car. So we ran there for most of the day. We had some times where we were pretty good, but this D-line Toyota just didn't have quite enough there right towards the end. We just couldn't get on restarts like those guys could, and looked like Carl was a little bit better on the long runs, but the 18 was just able to take off so fast. And hopefully we're just going to keep working on this short track package and try to make it better.
You did radio in around lap 150 or so, complaining of a potential motor problem. What was going on?
Yeah, we started missing pretty bad right in the center of the corner when I tried to get back to throttle. So changing ignition boxes, it was a little bit better, but I was having sparks coming into the car on top of the dash, so there's something electrical going on.
Well, despite all those electrical woes, third place finish, not so bad, Marty.
Not bad at all as you take a look at the pylon that shows the finishing results and see the 21 there at the very bottom of the screen. That's Stephen Light, and he's with Jamie Little.
Another great effort. 3 starts this season. He's had 2 top 10s. Stephen, take us through those last, I guess, few cautions and what happened.
I'll tell you what, man, this 21 team is unbelievable. We started off the race pretty good, worked our way up to like top 15, I think, and the more they worked on it, the better it got. The run before the last run, we actually made it too good. It was perfect for the first 10 or 15 laps, and then we just got too tight on that last long run before the last caution. And then those last couple cautions, man, I knew I was better than at 6, and I was like, man, this last restart, I'm going to get him. And sure enough, I got a run on him, and I had him off 2. I was setting him up for 3 and hoping for a top 5 finish. And I think the one car got into me a little bit on the backstretch and got me loose and got by me. And luckily, I was able to hold off my teammate for 7th. But no, great run for these guys. They're used to better, but we're getting there. I just need more track time.
I know your future with this team is pending, waiting on sponsorship, hopefully. How tough is it for a driver to just come out and get in a car when you're not running consistently every weekend?
It's hard. I mean, to come away with a 7th tonight, that was, I mean, I felt like we won the race because to not be, I've only raced 2 races this year and really haven't raced full-time hardly any since last year. So when you're out of the seat for a while, you lose a little of your focus and concentration. But I'm getting it back week in and week out. Just got to get out there full-time, got to get a sponsor for these guys.
I'd say the sponsors are watching, and Richard Childress very proud of his man, Stephen Light. Mike?
Here we go. And I just saw Kevin Harvick reach behind me. He was craning to see the scoreboard there to see how far he is back in the points. You're getting closer.
Well, I was checking to see how far ahead Boyer was. I don't have a dog in the fight in that points battle, but yeah, our Camping World Chevrolet was decent tonight. We weren't quite as good as the 18. We were close. I felt like we could race with the 20. We just need to be a touch better. But all the guys, from Road Loans and Ream and Snap-on and everybody involved in this program has done a great job, and we're still trying to build into being consistent in the top 5, and then the wins come after that.
We were sitting here talking off camera a little bit about the Joe Gibbs Racing cars. In your estimation, how much stronger are they right now than pretty much everybody else?
Yeah, they've got their stuff together. They do a good job. They still have some great horsepower down the straightaway. I feel like that's where they were beating us the most tonight was down the straightaway. It was a car and a half, 2 car lengths down each straightaway. So got to figure that out, and we'll keep working at it and go from there.
Appreciate your time tonight.
No problem. Thank you.
Kevin Harvick brings it home 4th. Guys, he's not happy with that. I mean, after all, this has been his playground. He's won here in just about everything he's raced.
That is true, but he does move up to 8th in the driver's points and 3rd in the owner's points. So not a bad night. And there you are, after 8 of the 35 races. It's you can see 24 back to Carl. Kyle is 106 back, but after 2 wins, it's looking much better for Kyle Busch. Maybe he does get those 8 in a row. We've got a little bit of time. Earlier in the broadcast, you heard the fact that on NASCAR Now on Monday, we'll be delving into the issue of Aaron Fikes' ESPN The Magazine article regarding the fact that he actually raced in a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race while on heroin. And it did get a buzz around here. A lot of stirred up by the media, obviously wanting reaction from drivers. Let's get a reaction from a driver. What do you think about all this?
Incredible, and we have to, at this point in time, take a bigger stance on this. I think the drivers deserve to know out there if anything is going on. I don't don't look at it and think that there's a big problem, if a problem at all. But everyone deserves to know. But first and foremost, as much as the drivers need to know, the fans need to know. They've followed this sport from its inception, and the newer fans have seen a sport that they really like because it's different than a lot of other things that they see out there, and we need to make them understand that it is still like that.
And I know you have some strong opinions as well.
I do. I just don't know. I can't believe we're having the conversation, actually, that, we're not testing these guys. There's really no good reason not to make sure every single driver that gets in one of these cars has passed a drug test. They need to have passed a drug test to be in the cars. And that's to prove, just like Dale said, it's to prove that our sport is clean. I mean, I think that it is, but we need to prove it. We need to show that it is, and right now we can't do that.
Well, there have been a total of 6 suspensions handed down by NASCAR. Of course, obviously, Aaron Fike is getting the most attention right now. Here are those from Sammy Potashnik, Brian Rose, Shane Meal, Kevin Grubb, Tyler Walker, and, of course, Aaron Fike. Do read the comment from NASCAR's Vice President of Corporate Communications, Jim Hunter. He said, no system is perfect. Our current policy has served us extremely well. We do have discussions from time to time regarding possible alternatives, so I would not rule those out. But I think what our policy has allowed us to do up to this certain point in time has served well. Well, I guess at this point now there's a lot of people that are saying maybe it hasn't. And while it's not a blanket condemnation of every driver in the garage area by any stretch of the imagination, they're isolated incidents. But we just want everybody basically saying the same thing, even the drivers that we talked to down there. Take away any doubt. Let's just start testing everybody.
And I think that is proof, just what you said, that it is not working. If we had a guy that was actually racing, he admitted to racing while on heroin. So to me that says it's not working.
Well, and the thing that has to be pointed out and was pointed out along the way is that Aaron Fike really wasn't caught by NASCAR. He was caught by the police in a parking lot.
Yeah, we've got to do a better job. I know that it's a lot more difficult. It was like when we first started talking about putting up safer barriers, it seemed like an easy thing to do. And I know that's totally away from this subject, but this seems like a really easy things to do. And this is a lot easier, I think, because there's not a driver in that garage area, I don't believe, that's not willing to do that. And we need to put it out in front of the public so everyone knows, and all of this is out and up front, and those guys are going to line up to do that.
Now, there'll be a much larger discussion on this on the Monday edition of NASCAR Now with Alan Bestwick hosting. Let's get back to the race tonight because we've caught up with some other drivers. Let's check in with David Rudiman.
Well, David told me earlier today that this track just is not kind of he or his crew, but you finished ninth, the best finish you've had here, David. How would you sum up your night, and do you still have those feelings?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very mediocre at best. Carrying back from the guys, they do a great job every week, and I'd say this is definitely the worst car we had all year. But if you can take the worst car you've had all year and run in the top 10 with it, that's not a bad thing. But I got to thank Best Western. They came on board here for, they're going to do the next race at Phoenix as well. And I liked it. Had a lot better run for them. But, just disappointed. I'm proud of my guys. I'm happy with my team. But, sometimes you have bad races, and this is one of them.
Well, it's a wild night when you can finish ninth, but you still slip 2 positions in the points. You're 5th now. How tight is this battle, and are you having fun running over here for the championship?
Oh, sure, absolutely. And I think, I messed us up at Vegas and got us wrecked, and then we had a fuel mileage issue and a spark plug wire issue that took us out of 2 top 5 finishes over the last couple of weeks. So that took a pretty big tumble in the points. We would have had a little cushion where you could have an off race, and who would think having an off race would still be in the top 10. But I'm proud of my guys. We'll get it back and go to Mexico City, see if I can turn left in right.
Not so bad. You're going to eat your apple, rest up. He has a big race tomorrow, and we're going to go over to Vince Welch.
Standing by with a happy Mike Bliss in his second race with the Miccosukee Chevrolet, and you ran into a 6th place finish tonight. Tell us about your night.
It was good. I was pretty unhappy after qualifying. I thought we were better than that. But, our Miccosukee Chevrolet was real good today on long runs. On long runs, it was awesome. We're sliding around, but we were running good laps. And it was fun. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that we ran 6th. We ran good last week. Mark Reno and Nick Harris worked their butts off on this car along with all the other guys because we weren't very good off the trailer. And it's just fun to be around guys that have a lot of desire, because I have a lot of desire and I want to win a race. And we're going to win a race for James here before this thing's over. And, I want to say Hendricks Motors were awesome. It was great. And I'm just hoping we go to Mexico now. There's a different thing. I just need to stay on the racetrack there and come away with a finish there. But I'm pretty happy about that.
You're a veteran racer. You've been around the sport a long time, but it is just your second race with this team. What's the challenge of joining a new team and trying to get the car in the top 10 just the second night out?
Well, I mean, I always say this, we're still on our second date here, so we're all starting to get to know each other, and you know, we're all trying to learn each other. I think they're figuring out what I like and how to get there. And, you know, I just want to have a good, I want to finish well, and I think they see the desire. And, I mean, we worked hard in practice. We ran about 80 laps, and we got our car was really good on long runs, and that's what, usually you don't get it here, but that's what was good about our car tonight.
Mikusuki, fortunate to have this pro, Mike Bliss, 6th place tonight. Marty?
Former Truck Series champion, did a very nice job with the car tonight, that's for sure. As the fans continue to file on out and head on home, let's take a look at our standout drivers in the Nationwide Series. As you can see, Brad Keselowski had his best finish 4th. He's 6th in the points. There's Mike Bliss 7th. Jason Leffler 9th in the points. Kelly Byers 10th. Mike Wallace in 11th. And let's check in with Mike Massaro, who's with David Reagan's doing double duty this weekend.
And it's gotten off to a pretty good start, Marty. A top 5 finish here in Phoenix. And it seemed like you got off to a bit of a slow start in this race until that first pit stop, and then the car came to life. What'd you guys do?
Yeah, we were just a little off, really loose that first run, and Mike Kelly and the Discount Tire team did a great job. We had a good pit stop and just got it tightened up a little bit where I could pass, and it was a lot of fun from there on. You know, if we had another few laps, maybe we could have got a few more spots there at the end, but overall, a decent run for us.
I know last week you kind of got off your game plan, went to an experimental body and some experimental chassis components and what have you. Got back to basics this week. Why?
Yeah, basics, never heard of it. This is kind of a basic old racetrack. You really just got to have a good race car here on the long run, and tires wear out pretty fast. So we had a good car tonight. Our Ford Fusion was fast for most of the day. We just need a little bit more at the beginning of the race, and we'll have a full package here before you know it and try to win one of these things. But overall, a good night for us, and hopefully we can do the same tomorrow with our AAA car.
And Marty, you talk about getting back to basics. Take a look at this post-race meal for David Reagan. There's no meat in this. There's no peanut butter, no jelly, just bread and bread.
Bread.
Oh. That's no. Oh, let's go to commercial. I need some meat in my sandwich, please. Well, the celebration still goes on in Victory Lane. Kyle Busch is going to start 6th tomorrow night in the Cup race. Maybe he'll be standing there again. Who knows?
Very solid night of racing here at Phoenix tonight. By way of review, Kyle Busch won the pole in qualifying earlier today. He led the field to the start with Brad Keselowski on the outside of the front row. If you liked your bumps and spins, there were plenty of those tonight. 9 cautions in the race. This was John Young early on at lap 34. Lap 78, Keselowski got a little nudge from Kevin Harvick in traffic and turned around. Keselowski came back to finish in 12th position. Even some of the best had troubles tonight. Jeff Burton, this is not one but 2 times he hit the wall. This is the first of them. Back at lap number 89, Burton would wind up finishing 31st after another knock into the concrete. And while some of that was going on, great racing up front. Carl Edwards in the 60, Kyle Busch in the 18, hooked up side by side. At one point, they were too wide for about 10 laps racing for the top spot. Kyle hung on for a while, but on a long green flag run, Edwards went by and opened up a little bit of a gap. Looked like he was in command. Then on a pit stop late, troubles on the right rear for Carl Edwards. He came in the leader, but Kyle Busch's team got him out first, and that essentially was the winning pass. Busch getting away on a restart, then trouble as Landon Castle gets bumped and nudged and spun around, so they throw the caution, line him up, do it again. Edwards tries to hang in there, but before they get enough laps for him to do something with Kyle Busch, contact there between Clint Boyer and Jason Leffler, cuts down Leffler's left rear tire. He goes around, sets up this crash. Jeff Burton, the damage coming back, second time right front tire cut on the green-white checker finish. Kyle Busch is able to get away from Carl Edwards, and Kyle Busch picks up the win tonight, scoring the victory here at Phoenix International Raceway. Up next, Navy Moto-X World Championship preview. And next week, the NASCAR Nationwide Series on the road course in Mexico City. We'll look for you from Mexico next week. See ya.
And around we go.